bang. This is a tracker. This is a banger that you need to have in your playlist.
Unfortunately, it's the end of the show, Kenny. I've had a blast again today.
Oh, it's time to go. Thanks for having me, guys. I love being on the show. I love just talking.
It's been a pleasure. Look, if you missed a show or you just want to listen to the magic again, it'll be replayed on Friday, 2 p.m. PNG time, or you can find all our episodes on the Radio Australia website or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
If you want more sport, you can check out That Pacific Sports Show on Wednesday night or catch up on ABC Australia iView.
That's all here.
Ka kite amo.
Can You Be More Pacific? An ABC sport production for ABC Radio Australia.
This program has been funded by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
ABC News, good evening, I'm Kerry Worthington. The federal government says new jobs figures display both the underlying strengths and weaknesses in the economy. Unemployment remained steady in May at 3.9%, with 60,000 new jobs created. Employment Minister Tony Burke says the figures are good, but the tight labour market should be pushing up wages faster.
If we were to believe what our opponents said throughout their entire time in office, we would not have a wage price index still at 2.4%. We would not have the highest number of people working multiple jobs since records began. We wouldn't have, similarly, the highest number of people working 3 or more jobs.
The federal opposition says the government needs to shift its focus in dealing with the ongoing electricity crisis to bring new gas supply into the system. The energy regulator yesterday intervened in the electricity market, suspending the wholesale spot price for power in an effort to ensure reliable supply. Energy Minister Chris Bowen says the intervention will last as long as necessary. The Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor says the government needs to focus on dispatchable gas-fired generation.
The problem we have in the East Coast grid right now is when the sun goes down in the evening. That's the time when Chris Bowen has asked people to turn out the lights. And that's the time when you need the gas generation, the dispatchable generation that is absolutely necessary, that we've been investing in, that they've never embraced. It's time for them to embrace it.
Long-time Liberal Senator Eric Abetz' 28-year stint in the federal parliament has officially come to an end. Adam Langenberg reports.
The Australian Electoral Commission finished its Tasmanian Senate count this afternoon. 5 of the 6 sitting senators were re-elected, with the Jackie Lambie Network's Tammy Tyrrell the sole new addition. She replaces Mr Abetz, who was demoted to the 3rd spot on the Liberal Party ticket. In a statement, Mr Abetz says it was a privilege to serve the Tasmanian people, and he was honoured to receive more than 15,000 personal votes. He says he has plenty of petrol left in the tank, as well as a desire to serve.
Ukraine's government has thanked the United States for the latest arms promises, totalling $1.4 billion, that it hopes will turn the tide of the war against Russia. Tom Major reports.
Heavy fighting for Severodonetsk has led to the city in Luhansk region teetering on the edge of being overrun. Ukraine has long said it needed more heavy weaponry, artillery and rocket systems to match Moscow's overwhelming firepower. President Volodymyr Zelensky says he's grateful for the latest package of military support from the US.
The United States has announced a new package. It includes coastal defence, artillery and modern rocket systems.
The UN has warned thousands of civilians are trapped in underground bunkers in Severodonetsk with a diminishing supply of clean water.
The Foreign Minister Penny Wong and her New Zealand counterpart say it's crucial to prioritise the Pacific's priorities and their regional strategies. Senator Wong has met Nanaia Mahuta in Wellington for talks today. Nanaia Mahuta says both countries need to expand their ties with all Pacific nations.
But it also rely on our ability to broaden our relationship, and we've both identified that is needed now. Things have changed. We are in a new conversation space around where the Pacific priorities must be led from.
Victoria Police have charged 2 children after an armed robbery and stabbing incident in Frankston this morning. An 11-year-old Port Melbourne girl has been taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. She was allegedly approached by 3 children who demanded her mobile phone and other items. Before, it's alleged she was stabbed with a sharp implement. A 14-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl have been charged with armed robbery and assault. Another 11-year-old girl was released pending summons. Local sports clubs are unhappy about today's announcement that the Australian Grand Prix will remain in Melbourne until 2035. Albert Park has hosted the Australian Grand Prix since 1996, but clubs say their activities are disrupted by the event. Albert Park Community Sporting Tenants Association President Hugo Armstrong has told ABC Radio Melbourne this year's race was a disaster for community clubs.
The Grand Prix is a great event in the wrong place. It is really difficult to get, all these events to be able to be in the same place. But look, we have to compromise. We understand that. We want them, firstly, to make sure it never happens in April again.
To the weather, a strong wind warning remains in place for East Gippsland coast. Scattered showers continuing tonight across the state and cloudy with a very high chance of showers in Melbourne. Tomorrow we're expecting showers to ease and 15 degrees. Currently 12 degrees. ABC News.
For laughter, tears, and a look back through the years.
How about this for our first date?
Join Julia Zamiro for one final trip down memory lane.
This is like where I grew up.
With Ray Martin, Marsha Hines, and Stephen Page.
I started choreographing my first work here.
Plus the most emotional homecoming yet, her very own home delivery.
I would have loved to walk through here with him.
The final season of Julia Zamiro's Home Delivery.
Wow.
Starts Sunday night on ABC TV and ABC iView.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
AFL.
Runs into the 50, steps on the right foot, scores a level.
This is awesome. What a moment to be here.
Roll up, it's time for the show. Forget everything that you know. You ain't seen nothing like this. It's impossible to resist.
Kicks from 45, starts right, but it's coming back. It's a miracle at the Adelaide Oval.
You ain't seen nothing like.
Akers hard up against the boundary in the right foot. Oh, that's one of the goals of the season.
That is incredible.
Buddy Franklin steps forward now. He's done it. A legend joins the Immortals.
Grandstand AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
Now from 55 goes bang. Oh, he kicked it. He has kicked it.
Welcome to the big top.
He can be a game breaker, this kid.
And he'll kick the goal. It's what he does best.
Silvani 2-on-1.
Silvani! What a mark in the goal square.
We're gonna be kids.
Throws up from 55. An unbelievable finish. Shuts it down. The big man sorts it out midair. This would be absolutely extraordinary.
He is all class.
Bolton runs toward the boundary to kick a miraculous goal.
He can't believe it.
Gives it everything he's got. It's going, it's going, it's there.
The superstar on the left. He's got a third. Brilliant.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
Bells to Van der Beek. Sweeping hand pass to the thought. Shut the door.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
It's a Thursday night blockbuster to start round 14 of the AFL, which will have massive ramifications on the shape of the top 8. Carlton sit fourth on the ladder at 9-3, but a win over Richmond would move them equal top with Brisbane, Melbourne and Fremantle, all locked on 40 points after 14 games. A loss could see them spiral down to 7th by the end of the weekend, depending on the other results. The reinforcements have been called on, and suddenly 15 days after being selected in the mid-season draft from Glenelg, former Roos Sam Durden goes from the construction site to centre stage. It's the beauty of the mid-season draft, and the job on debut for his new club, probably Tom Lynch or Jack Riewoldt. Richmond are just a game outside the top 8, 2 games behind Carlton, and are starting to make their move. While there's no Dustin Martin tonight through illness, leading goal kicker Tom Lynch returns, and are Richmond just about ready to rise for another September tilt. It's round 14 of the AFL. Richmond and Carlton from the MCG on ABC Sport. It's great to have your company for Thursday night footy. Matt Clinch with you on a night in which the weather hasn't really done its point. We've had a fair bit of rain around in the early hours of this evening, and we are expecting a bit tonight. So a crowd hopeful of around 52,000, maybe slightly under that. It's also a special day for the Tigers with the Alana and Madeline Foundation match in honour of the victims of the Port Arthur tragedy in Tasmania. And Patrick Cripps, the Carlton captain, also plays his 150th game. There's no late changes for either side, so Morris Rioli Jr., the sub for the Tigers, and Lockie Fogarty for the Blues. Corbin Middlemaster called the action alongside me. Corby, welcome to you.
Thanks, Clinchy. Good to be here. Always nice to be at the MCG when there's two massive Melbourne clubs going at it, both with enormous followings. And as you said, the storylines are simple tonight. Carlton trying to shore up their place in the top 8. In the top 4 for Carlton. Richmond trying to nab a place in the top 8. They'll do so without Dustin Martin. So he's missed 16 games since their premiership dynasty began back in 2017. And the Tigers have a losing record in that time. They've only won 7.5 games out of the 16 in his absence. Meanwhile, Jacob Wiedering, he's played 51 of the last 52. So they fronted up for the first time without him last week in 3 seasons. And as you said, Sam Durden now has to try and take the poison chalice to play at centre-half back for the Blues. It's been a pretty tough role this year with players going down left, right and centre. So one of 3 mid-season draftees that we'll see this weekend, with Massimo D'Ambrosio named for the Bombers tomorrow night and Bryn Teagle for Port Adelaide. So drafted 15 days ago. He plays at the MCG tonight against the yellow and black. He's straight out of Glenelg. Obviously, the Tigers, he's playing against him tonight for the Blues.
The Blues have made their way out onto the MCG. The Tigers have just run out onto the MCG. It's a type of night where you're chucking between your tips as to whether you go Richmond or Carlton. That's what Adam Ramanatskis was doing just before we came on air. Rama, welcome.
Oh, yes, good evening. I was. It's a real flip of the coin for me this game. A couple of outs for both teams, which never helps, but exciting. I think exciting for both teams. As we mentioned, Carlton go to the top of the table, and the Tigers are fighting for that top 8 spot. They're good enough. There's no doubt about that. They were really good last week at times against Port Adelaide, and I think Carlton will want to improve from last week in the second half.
The Blues have another one of their premiership reunions tonight. We thought, who could ride the journey like Mark McClure might? And, well, Carlton captain Mark Murphy was silly enough to agree to come and join us in the commentary box. Murph, welcome. How are you feeling about tonight?
Good to be here, Clinchy. I'm a little bit nervous as a Carlton fan, but I'm expecting a real close one tonight. The Tigers are in great form, having won 5 of their last 6, and it shapes as an interesting game because Carlton can go top of the tree or they can be right amongst the pack again down the bottom of the 8. So it's a crucial game for both sides, and there's nowhere better to be than the G when Richmond and Carlton are playing. So looking forward to it.
It's really hard to judge the form lines here, Rama.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the Tigers have started to come good, but you look at some of the opponents in which they've beaten, you could probably draw a question mark around a few of those, and Carlton, who started so promisingly with that win in round 1, all of a sudden, how many is too many when you start to become concerned as to what's the tipping point for the Blues?
Well, you go back to that round 1 game, and Richmond led Carlton on 2 occasions in that game by 20-plus points. Now, Carlton were good enough to come back and win that game, and that was, I think that was enormous for Carlton because it sort of got the monkey off their back a little bit. They hadn't won an opening game of the season for a long time, so to do that creative momentum, now they've been able to ride that momentum now through pretty much half the season, but they've been able to ride it through a different way of playing. They're now very much a forward half turnover team, as we've seen on so many occasions, but they're also getting great drive from their back line. They miss Adam Chera tonight, which is really disappointing because I think out of Hewitt and Chera's probably been the one that's gone under everyone's guard. He's been probably the more underrated pickup out of those 2 guys. So Kerner's in really good form. Harry Mackay looked good last week on his first game back. So the Blues tick a lot of boxes in that sense. The Tigers, on the other hand, their form line is questionable against the opponents that they've played, but you can only play who you put up against. Now, missing Dustin Martin tonight, you pencil him in for 2 goals. He's been playing as a permanent forward, but Tom Lynch, before he hurt himself, was the informed forward of the competition. So that's where my concern really lies. As we said, Sam Durden, he was on a building site 15 days ago, and if now the expectation that he goes to play and stand on Tom Lynch or Jack Revolt, that's a big ask. That is an enormous ask for anybody to the best defenders in the game to go do that, let alone a guy that was drafted 15 days ago. And then you got Lewis Young, who's the other one. And
you've got to think the chemistry between them is going to be pretty hard to to work on, because, yeah, as you said, Sam Durden's only been around for 2 weeks. Learning a new system over 2 weeks is pretty tough, and he might have only even trained with them maybe 3 times in that period as well. So it's a tough one. Like, you come in off 2 weeks, having been in the building site and playing for Glenelg. It's a completely different kettle of fish, isn't it, out here on a Thursday night in a huge game, which is massive for the football club. But there's no doubt he'll be getting a lot of support from his teammates, who I think are already loving playing or training with him. In his first couple of weeks, he's already got a couple interesting nicknames, so he's obviously fitting in well, and he's one of the boys already. But you play against a Jack Rewalt or a Tom Lynch, it's a pretty big daunting ask.
And you're probably going to throw Noah Bolter down there at some stages as well. I think, Murph, last week with the Blues, what was really interesting is what Essendon allowed them to do. So you had Doherty, Sard and Newman all coming out of half-back. They all had 25 plus possessions. And really the drive and where they started their score launches was from half-back. I didn't think their midfield was overly dominant last week, as we've seen in previous week with the Blues. But just, I don't know if Richmond will allow that same luxury for Carlton this week.
Yeah, well, they won't, because the midfield of Carlton last week, they did rack them up, didn't they? But they probably didn't hurt the Essendon footy club too much. But I think tonight it's going to be a much more contested style of football, because it is quite greasy and slippery out there. So, and that's the way in which Richmond like to play as well. So I still feel that Carlton midfield will enjoy those conditions. Like you talk about Hewitt, Cripps obviously in there, Matty Kennedy, they're all big mids, and they love the contest and hitting bodies in there. So I don't think they'll take a backward step whatsoever, but it's certainly conducive to the Richmond style, and Carlton do rely pretty heavily on their half-backs getting a lot of ball and a lot of drive from there, so it's going to be an interesting watch.
It's amazing how many from that same position. So Liam Jones, before the season started, Oscar McDonald goes down. They move Mitch McGovern into defence to play key back. He gets hurt. Jacob Wiedering, who hasn't missed one since the Ice Age, is now out. And Caleb Marchbank, who comes back and then goes straight out again. Can't take a trick at the moment, Caleb, with injury. So now Sam Durden joins Corey Durden in this Carlton team, and as we said 15 days ago, wasn't on an AFL list, plays a Thursday night blockbuster against Richmond. Just on that too, I asked Corey straight out as to, is there a relationship or somewhere along the lines with these two? He said he thinks there is, somewhere way back, but they're not exactly sure what. So they're both...
Get the family tree out.
Yeah, we might be cousins, but who knows?
Both Durdens, both from South Australia, but different sample clubs. So obviously Sam's been playing with Glenelg and Corey at Central Districts, but they believe somewhere in the family lineage, but not close
I dare
relations.
say, well, they're certainly not close, because Corey's probably 170, and Sam's 194. So unless Corey's got the rough end of the stick, it's an interesting one. But anyway, I wish Sam all the best. It's a great story. So
it's a great opportunity.
Hopefully he can go well and represent the jumper. Like I know his teammates are really excited to see him out there tonight. So it'll be great for him and his family.
It wouldn't be a game of footy if we didn't say the game's going to be won in the midfield, which it feels like it always is. But it's fascinating when you have the two-headed monster at either end of the ground. So Mackay and Kerner up against Rewalt and Lynch. And in between, you got two class midfields duking it out. You mentioned that game, Roma, when they met earlier in the year. Carlton won the clearances by 18.
Yeah, smashed them.
40-22.
So Richmond are never a clearance team.
Yeah, but that's...
And contested possession by 20. So you talk about Adam Cherry not being there, Sam Walsh wasn't there. So how much do we take out of round one in terms of what we might see tonight?
I think Carlton take confidence out of round one, because they know they've proved they can beat Richmond. But I do think, like you said, Corb, a lot of matches, are won and lost. I think it's who gets the matchups right at either end of the ground tonight. Wow. That seems to me to be the most important. Can Young and Durden hold Rewalt and Lynch? And then up the other end of the ground, is it Robbie Tarrant that goes to Harry Mackay? Who goes to Charlie Kerner? Is it Gibcus? Is it Noah Bolter? Even Nathan Broad's been in unbelievable form. Is it him? So I think, whatever supply the midfields can give each end of the ground, I think becomes ultra critical.
It's crucial, and the centre square bounce is ultimate, isn't it? Because you don't want to be a Carlton backline having the ball coming in from your centre square bounce too often. You want to have support from your wings and your forwards getting in to try and clog up some space. So the centre square bounce, it's obviously a huge part of the game these days, but I think even more so with the sort of lack of experience down there in the Carlton backline against two extremely talented players, and Jack Rewald and Tom Lynch down there, and you put in Bolter as well.
And it was a weird night with wild momentum swings last time they met, Clinchy. 21 of the 25 goals in the game were kicked to the city end of the ground. So I'd be surprised if we get those sort of numbers again tonight.
The final member of our team is sitting in the front row in the elements. Mitch Cleary, welcome to you. What are you expecting tonight?
Good evening, guys. Corbin just mentioned the city end and how prominent it was the last time these two sides met. Well, Patrick Cripps has won the toss and chosen to kick to that end in his 150th game. 12 degrees tonight. It feels much warmer than this time last week when 21,000 rocked up. I reckon we're looking at 50 to 55,000 tonight. There's people still filing in, given it's that earlier start. The starting subs tonight, Maurice Rioli for the Tigers, and at the Blues, Lockie Fogarty.
Really interesting, Clinchy. Noah Bolter starting on the bench, so that would suggest to me, with Soldo being out, he'll play as the second ruckman. I think that's a bit of a... I don't know. I would prefer Bolter at one end or the other. I just think in the middle of the ground, he does tend to get lost a little bit.
Who wins, Rama?
I think the Tigers just.
Murph?
I think the Blues by under a kick.
Corby?
Baggers for me.
Yeah, I'm with the Tigers as well. On the SMS, Dave says, go Blues. And Mark in Mentoon says, effort and attitude, two things the Tigers can control. It's a game that's going to shape the top 8. Round 14 of the AFL. The Blues trying to lock up a top 4 spot. Richmond back into the 8. Here's Corbin Middlemass.
Nankervis and DeConey to go at it. Mank wins it down. Prestia, hand pass shot straight through the fingertips of McIntosh. Cripps in his 150th. Sockers out to the wing. Prestia first one there. Shoots a hand pass forward. It's also out wide. He sockers it back into play. Sard defensive side of the wing. Hand pass to Walsh. Just got a kick away. Lands in Cochin's lap. Can put Richmond inside 50. One bounce to Ralph Smith. A little fumble. He's now bowled over by Newman. The Tigers still on it. Edwards, hand pass to Lambert, snaps goalward, but he misses. So the unused Medi sub from last week for the Tigers kicks the first score of the night. A sweeping shower across the MCG as play is underway. 40 seconds in, the Ticks with one behind.
So those matchups, Harry Mackay's got Robbie Tarrant, and then Kerner is Dylan Grimes at the moment.
Doherty straight down the middle, finds Paddy Cripps. What a game he had in round 1. Hand pass away to Walsh, kicks it out to the southern wing. Jack Silvani takes the mark. Can feed the hand pass over the top, back to Walsh, who kept running. Kicks towards half forward, Durden's pushed forward. He's unmarked on 50, had to get around Broad. And in the end, Broad's able to shove him over the boundary line for a throw-in.
And up the other end of the ground, Murph, so Lewis Young is with Tom Lynch, and Durden is with Jack Rewald.
I think that's probably the right matchup.
Yeah.
Lewis Young's obviously 200 centimetres, so go against the big man Tom Lynch.
Nankervis and DeConey. That's another interesting matchup as Nankervis swats it down. Got it to Prestia for the Tigers. Kicks up to the southern wing. Rewald up with one arm. Spoils it down. Looking for Edwards. Shea Bolton slips in. Jams it on the boot. Kicks out in front of Tom Lynch. Running back with the flight. Start after him. Lynch gathers. Start. Careful not to give away the free kick. Got poked in the eye. There? Lynch gathers. Tries to square it up into the corridor. Missed his target. Oh, he's a chance. Can't gather. Bolton. Hand pass to Rioli. Gets it to Pickett for the opening goal. Marlon Pickett on his left. He snaps truly from 40 metres out. And Adam Sard is still down after appearing to cop something in his eye. Richmond on the board with the opening goal. 1-1-7 to Carlton yet to score. 2 minutes gone. Opening term, ABC Sport.
We can already see it's going to be a game of yardage, can't you, Ramo? It's been sheeting rain to start the night, so we'll see if that keeps on happening. But Richmond enjoy these conditions where they can just keep on getting the ball forward and play their yardage game. But hopefully for the Blues, Adam Sard's all right. He looks like he's just got a poke in the eye and running off now.
Oh, yeah, he's got the thumb straight in Adam Sard's eye from Tom Lynch. Completely accidental. But you see the replay that the broadcaster has given us, you can see that as clear as day, just the thumb straight into Adam Sard's eye.
I think it's fair to say that's not what you want.
No.
Richmond 1-1, Carlton yet to score. Restart back in the middle to Koning, down to Hewitt, hand pass to Cripps. He gives it to Walsh, and he bangs it to centre half forward for Carlton. Mackay crashes the pack, no mark. Spills down to Owies, his hand pass a turnover to Rioli, that's Dan. He goes back by hand to Broad, hand pass out of the defensive 50. Pickett went without it. Cottrell collects, his kick smothered. Baker throws his body on the line and forces the neutral ball. A throw in half forward for Carlton.
So that's how Carlton don't want to enter their forward 50. So that was just a bomb kick to a group of 5. So 10 players in the one pack. You need separation against Richmond defenders.
Toss back in, 50 metres out from the Blues goal. De Koning works his way to the front, taps it down. Press here for the Tigers, shovels a hand pass forward over Ralph Smith and Plowman. Doherty tackle by Bolton. The ball pinballs around. Cottrell has another go at it. Ran into Nankervis. No room to move. And the umpire will throw it up at right half forward for the Blues. Mark in Adelaide wanting to know what number Sam Durden is wearing. He's in number 38 alongside Jack Riebold with the moustache, the former Kangaroo. From the throw-up, gathered by Prestia, kicks up to the wing. Lockie Young in front. Lewis Young, should I say, in front of Tom Lynch, takes the mark.
Young goes short out to Walsh, and if you're a nerd like me, Clinchy, that's a nice bit of symmetry because he's the second Durden, and Corey Durden wears number 19, so times 2 is 38. As Plowman to Cripps, who goes long inside the forward pocket for Carlton. Close to the boundary line, Mackay lays a heavy tackle, and the umpire says, I'll have it. Forward pocket for the Blues. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Adam Sard is still in a bit of pain down here. He's training to the physios and the doctor, just getting some eye drops in that right eye. He looks like he will be okay, though, to continue on.
Nate palms it down to Baker. Comes out a defensive 50 over the head of Ralph Smith and Plowman. Ralph Smith collects. Looks like he ran out of room. The ump said it's okay. Hangs it inside the boundary line. The footy gods take care of it as he shakes his kick. Louis Young had the blinkers on. He was run down by Jack Riewoldt. Never saw him coming. Just picked up the footy casually, and Jack, with the heavy chase down tackle, wins possession for Richmond between wing and half forward.
Riewoldt veers out to the right, kicks inside 50, setting himself. Sam Durden, welcome to AFL footy again. He juggles the mark 35 metres out from his defensive goal.
Be a nice little settler for him, won't it?
Bit of confidence.
Just come in and play the role, having been in the sample for the last couple of seasons with Glenelg. Delisted by North Melbourne. Michael Voss said 3 hours of vision when he first arrived at the club to try and understand Carlton's system. Doherty, hand pass to Walsh down low, a fumble to Cripps, ran into a dead end, and a big tackle by Marlon Pickett, who throws him into the turf and wins a free kick for holding the ball.
Don't see Paddy Cripps get dumped like that too often, do you? Just actually got it airborne.
Pickett wastes no time, hand pass to Short, long towards Lynch. He's got 3 to compete against, gets to the back, Doherty taps into the goal mouth. Shea Bolton from a couple of metres out volleys it through.
You can have a little look, Lynchy.
They're going to see if there was a hand on this as it went through. Shea Bolton, who had a horrible night in front of goal last week, could all of a sudden be starting on the perfect note. It's the lunging Sam Doherty across the front. Did he get a hand to it?
No, I think he's kicked Doc's foot by the looks of it, but the ball was already...
So Doherty's hit Bolton's foot potentially, and the ball is gone. So we're getting a look.
Was it called a goal?
I think so.
So probably stay with that, won't it? The umpire's call, probably.
Yeah.
So Doherty at full stretch, dive into his left. It just appears like he's got there half a second too slow. But we're just trying to work out if it brushed his wrist potentially on the way through.
It's hard to overturn it on that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Be very surprised if they do.
It'll be a good win for the Richmond small forwards with Tom Lynch up against 3, brought it down to the front. Shea Bolton trying to finish. And the all-clear is given. Umpire's call, which is a goal. And the Tigers have the opening 2 goals on Thursday night footy. 2-1-13 to Carlton yet to score. 7 minutes gone. Opening term on ABC Sport with Adam Ramanauskas and Mark Murphy.
I think you look at it, Murph, and you're spot on with what you said after Richmond's first goal. The way Richmond are playing at the moment, they're just surging the ball. Really, kicks are going along the ground, handballs are going along the ground, but it's all about territory. Let's get the ball forward. Let's put Carlton's defenders under some level of pressure early in this game. Let's see if we get the scoreboard earlier. Whereas Carlton they're trying to give these little forward handballs. Paddy Cripps is trying to take blokes on. The rain's still pouring down here. Just get the ball going forward. They're going to settle into the game.
They
haven't settled into the game yet, the Blues, whereas the Tigers have.
13 points, Richmond early, Nankervis in the middle, palms it straight down to Prestia, hand pass to Short, centre break for Richmond, kicks to half forward, Lynch down there, Young throws his fist at it late, and Sam Durden out to meet it, hand pass away to Plowman, kicks Carlton along the boundary line, over the head of Nunes, so the Tigers lock it in, Prestia, hand pass away to Lambert, he's mowed down, his handball picked off, Kennedy fumbles it twice in the wet, there's young Clark, got a hand pass out, but straight to Walsh, handball to Nunes, bangs Carlton back up to the wing. DeConing flies, no marks. Silvani went without it. A greasy footy in the wet. There's a free kick. It's coming back to Silvani. He was pushed over without the ball by Nankervis and pushed in the back. Free kick for Carlton.
Kicks into the corridor to Walsh. She can kick laterally along the centre-half back line. Finds Newman, now up to Plowman in the middle of the MCG. How pass to the runner Walsh. Another disposal, kicks inside 50. Nankervis is pushed back. He takes the mark on his chest. Deep on the last line for the Tigers. Out to Kipkis in the right back pocket. Links up with Broad and out to Short. Looks up the southern wing. Nice kick, just too far for Judson Clark, and it's out of bounds on the full. Carlton will take it back on the wing. Mitch Cleary feels like that rain's settling in.
It is, Clinchy. It wasn't too much on the radar before the game, but it is just light showers at the moment. Adam Sard still playing with that eye, but it looks like he's ready to come back on the ground.
Here's Newman, the 1-2 with Boyd, and Boyd kicks to half forward, bounces clean off Crisp's chest, goes back, collects, gives it to Boyd, heads inside 50. He's up with a strong mark. Takes it overhead with the pressure from Liam Baker, but Owies can have a ping here, left half forward, 50 out.
Very sticky mitts, wasn't it? From
really good hands.
Matty Owies.
Liam Baker was doing everything possible to spoil that ball. Having a good year, Owies. He's doing exactly what Michael Voss has asked him with that forward pressure, trying to get a goal a game.
Owies arcs out to the right. His drop punt, Sales goal, but it's online but short. And helped through on the goal line for a minor score. Carlton's first of the game, 10 minutes in. The Blue Baggers one behind. Richmond 2-1-13 on Grandstand AFL.
Nick Vlosten looks to bring Richmond back into play. He wants to dance around Charlie Kerner, who tried to corral him. Kicks up towards Tom Lynch from behind against Young. Slaps it down, trying to link up with Edwards. Pickett charge through. O'Brien gathers for the Blues. Long kick inside 50. Harry flies. Mackay brings it down to the front for Owies, who's shoved out of play by Baker. And a boundary throw in the right forward pocket for the Blues. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
The rain's just intensified a little bit. It's got to that level where the people on level 1 just starting to make their way under cover. So stand by, we could be in for a bit more.
I notice the boundary riders standing up, Mitch, and walking back a few rows as well.
Come on, stay there, Mitch.
Just checking out both benches, boys.
Boundary throw in, half forward here for Carlton. Comes to Prestia, knocks it away to O'Brien. Hand pass inside 50, picked off. Broad heads out of the defensive arc, kicks to Edwards, drops it, sockers it forward. Nice work to trap it. Lambert with his foot. Couldn't move it on any further. Pack forms behind him. Pickett and Kennedy on the bottom. Kennedy extracts it for Carlton. Hand pass to O'Brien. He gives it to Walsh. Walsh bangs it high into the forward pocket. Kerner and Mackay both down there. Spills to Grimes. He chucks it on the boot, but only as far as Sammy Walsh. And Sam Walsh marks true centre-half forward just inside the 50.
Well, Sammy Walsh is the one for Carlton that's doing the damage. This will be possession number 10. We're only 11 and a half minutes into this quarter. Presti has had 8 for the Tigers. I think it's dangerous if you're just letting Sam Walsh run around the MCG all night.
Sam Walsh, the young Carlton star, the 21-year-old on a set shot. He misses. Out to the left. Behind.
They don't usually play a run with, do they, Richmond? But someone needs to be accountable from the stoppage, because that's how he gets. He's a chain of possession player, so from the stoppage you'll either win it or be a secondary ball user, and then he'll just get hard forward or hard back and really start up a chain or get the ball going forward.
Richmond by 11. Vlossen into the pocket for Broad. High ball towards Tom Lynch at half-back. Couldn't take the mark. Plowman over the top of it. Ralph Smith sockers it into the middle of the ground. Lambert couldn't take it cleanly. The Blues through Corey Durden. Kicks inside 50. Here's Charlie. He overran the foot. He got stuck underneath. Through his hands. Gathered by Tarrant. Kicks long towards half-back. Judson Clark takes the mark. First 2 kicks were goals. He swings onto his left. Beautiful ball to Graham, who runs down the southern wing. Kicks it long inside 50 towards Tom Lynch. Was he dragged down by Lewis Young? He was. And a free kick in the right forward pocket going the Tigers' way. And the imposing figure of Tom Lynch.
It's just that ever little slight tug on the jumper with Tom Lynch. It was a beautiful kick by Graham. And there he just grabs at the last moment. Grabs the arm, grabs the front of the jumper. So, yeah, look, I've seen worse free kicks, but it is there.
Missed the last 2 weeks with a hamstring injury. Abai served as his friend during that period as well. So here he is, Tom Lynch, Richmond's leading goal scorer with 31 goals so far. Lynch on a 45-degree angle, comes in. Welcome back, Tiger Tom. Puts through Richmond's third as they grab the break. 3-1-19 to Carlton, 2 behinds. 13 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport.
Well, it's been a terrific start by Richmond. They're just playing the percentages really well. They're investing numbers at the drop of ball of contest and just getting the ball forward and getting yardage as they always do, which we've already spoken about. So the conditions are certainly playing to their favour, but they've actually been pretty clean, haven't they? Like, they just haven't messed about with it. I think Carlton has started to correct their ball use and starting to get the ball in the foot a little bit sooner. But a few times they've gone inside 50, Carlton. They've had all three big tools in Silvani, Kerner and Mackay all sort of competing for the same ball. So I think they need to try and spread out their offence a little bit better.
Last time they met, Richmond were up by 20 at quarter time. They lead by 17 already. We're 14 minutes in the driving rain. Richmond with the first 3 goals. Silvani wins the hit out in the middle. Jack Graham first touched. He's tackled, lost it. Comes back to Silvani. Hand pass to Kennedy. Flares it out to Nunes. High half forward. Puts it inside 50 to Cripps. Hand pass miss Walsh. Kennedy was just pushed straight off it. Comes to McIntosh. He kicks out wide for Richmond. Boyd close to the boundary line. And eventually it's out in front of he and Judson Clark and a boundary throw in.
It's a fine line, isn't it, Ramo, when you're handballing in these conditions? Like, the first couple then were really good and they were there to handball, but then the last one probably just need to get it on the boot and have a shot or pass it off.
The voice of Mark Murphy alongside Adam Remenascus. Bolter into the rock. He's able to volley a kick forward. That'll work. Found Judson Clark. He's been doing some good leading and presenting on the wing. Has it between wing and half forward here. Looks inside the 50. Lynch and Rewald are both there. Lynch trying to get a run on it from behind. Young spoils it down for the Blues. Charging across is Boyd. He was taken high. And Noah Bolter gets a shovel too from Jack Silvani. There's a mismatch in the weight division. And now the reinforcements coming for Noah Bolter. So Boyd's just going to take his kick. Up towards Corey Dern on the wing. Had to pick up the half volley. Tackled by Vloston. Releases a hand pass in front of Hewitt. Sliding in McIntosh. Corey Durden has another go. Turns on his right. Kicks up towards Mackay and Tarrant. Harry juggles the mark. Excellent take at right half forward.
Mackay looks inside the forward 50. Kerner the target, one-on-one with Grimes. Grimes got a hand on it. Richmond with some numbers back in support. Spills out though the Carlton's way. Hewitt runs onto his non-preferred left boot. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Kerner trying to pull in the one-hander. Can't do so. Spills to Nunes. His kick smothered. Top of the goal square. Still a pack of players around the footy. Eventually Cochin just bangs it out of the danger area. Silvani trying to cut it off. Drops the chest mark. Gets back to his feet. Now he's in trouble. Hands it to Hewitt. Looks back to the corridor. In front, Jack Nunes takes the mark as he bangs bodies with 2 or 3 others. And Nunes can shoot from 35 out. Centre half forward.
And although that's a missed kick by Hewitt, that's the actual perfect kick because it sits out in front a little bit. So rather than kicking the high ball, which is nearly impossible to mark with the rain in this first quarter, that one where it's just in a little bit of space, Nunes can come at the ball at least.
We'll see a few more chest marks tonight. Now to finish it off, Jack Nunes has put it left as well. It's where Walsh's set shot ended up earlier in the quarter. Another behind. Carlton have missed 3 looks. They're 3 behinds. Richmond are 3-1-19. Tigers by 16 points, 17 minutes in. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
The Tigers doctors have gone out to Robbie Tarrant a couple of times. It's a pinky issue on his right hand. He's now gone down into the rooms.
Boston into Broad, kicks up to the wing. Tom Lynch has worked underneath it. Newman couldn't take it cleanly. And Ralph Smith pinched it for the Tigers. Trying to link up with Cochin. It's knocked out of play by Nick Newman. And boundary throw in as the Tigers have worked it to right half forward.
Quick number for you quickly. Harry Mackay won that one-on-one down here. He's been in 16 one-on-ones previously this year, had yet to outmark his opponent at all. It's the first time he's done it all year in his 17th one-on-one.
Thrown back in. Silvani in the ruck against Bolter. A free kick and a hold, and it's going to go the Blues' way.
Which is unusual for a guy that's kicked 23 goals.
Did, of course, miss a period of footy. Jack Silvani has the free kick at left half back for Carlton. Kicks long round the southern wing. Broad in from the side. Punches it down. Gains a good 15 metres. Bolter over round the footy. Now has to try and soccer it forward. Clears a couple of players as it gets to half forward. And Tom Lynch can't drag it in as it ricochets out of play at right half forward.
That's just, again, the example of the territory that Richmond gained. So Bolter couldn't pick it up. Instead, kick it off the ground. Get 40 metres. Get it almost inside your forward 50, allow your defenders to set back up.
Tigers by 16. They've kicked the first 3 goals. Blues still looking for their first from the boundary throw-in. Silvani wins it down. Fisher's hand pass ends up with Cochin. Kicks inside 50. Free for a hold. It's going Carlton's way. And Plowman will get it. Had his jumper tugged in that contest. And now we'll try and switch play from deep in his defensive 50 out to Sam Durden. Former Kangaroos defender on debut tonight for his new club as he kicks out wide for O'Brien. And McIntosh, making room late, knocks it out of play. It is very wet. We've had showers throughout this opening quarter so far, which is 19 minutes old. As Mitch mentioned, they weren't really on the radar to begin with, but plenty of rain in this opening quarter. Tigers by 16.
Throw back in, Silvani, one down the tap against Bolter. Comes the way of O'Brien, who arches out to the left, drives a kick towards half forward. Mackay with a couple to beat with. Gave a shove into the back of Nick Boston. Or in fact, Gibcus, who will take it.
How's it in the back? Gibcus was at the back of the pack.
Yeah. Richmond take the free kick. Out to Baker. Had a great game last week. His kick is too wide for Dan Rioli, and it goes out under the Shane Warne stand. In terms of selections, well, Fran in Melbourne, my team, looking forward to this game tonight. Not a fan of either side. However, I dislike Carlton more, so going for Richmond. Might be a few in that 50-50 camp. And Mark from Upway is a keen observer of footy, watching this game with the sound down on the TV. Seems pokes in the eye quite common when it comes to teams playing against Richmond. Righto, we'll keep an eye on that one. Tigers by 16 points.
We've got a ball up here on the southern wing. DeConing leaps over the top, down to Cripps. Hand pass to Nunes. Tumbles a kick down the southern wing. Baker, clean collect, and now kicks it back down to half forward for the Tigers. Durden involved in that pack. Sam Durden gets a spoil in. Falls down to Newman. He's wrapped up by Rewalt. Didn't dispose of it correctly, holding the ball.
Just that little shepherd by Marlon Pickett to allow Baker to pick up the ball, get him a little bit of space, gain some more territory.
Rewalt high kick to Lynch in the pocket, in the box seat. Young can't complete the mark, and then Corey Durden fumbles over the boundary line.
Interesting seeing Liam Baker go back to a half-back flank after last week probably being best on playing through the midfield. So just shows you that he's got obviously a very versatile sort of game plan and be able to throw Liam Baker back now after last week being best on.
Mark Murphy, Adam Romanascus, Matt Clinch, Corbin Middlemass and Mitch Cleary with you on ABC Sport. DeConing one down the tap, over the back, beautiful to Sard. Hand pass to O'Brien, too slick for Cripps. Fisher tries to clean it up, sliding in Cochin. Fisher tries to dive back on top of the footy, can't gather it. Revolt has a go at it, he can't pick it up. Hewitt eventually emerges. Hand pass to O'Brien, through the middle of the ground, a hand pass to Cripps. Works it back to Newman, tries to link back up with Cripps. Through the middle of the ground, the hand pass game works as Fisher knocks it through the legs of Loston, gets it to Nunes, kicks inside 50. Mackay brings it down to the front. O'Brien front and centre, kicks towards the goal mouth. It's offline to the right and through for a minor score. So 4 behind for the Blues to Richmond 3-1-19, and on a night where scoring might be challenging, the Tigers are making the most of their chances.
Baker in quickly to Vlosten, short kick to Dan Rioli off the back flank for Richmond. Has made it his own since the second half of last year. Kicks down the wing to Pickett. Shoots a hand pass inside to Prestia. All of a sudden, Richmond over halfway. Heads inside 50. Rewald can't take the mark. Goes back, collects. Gets around Sam Durden. Hand pass to Bolter. Bolter arches the back. Burns them off. Snaps Goldwood and Sard right in front of the goalpost. Takes the intercept mark for Carlton. Goes bouncing away in characteristic fashion.
Has to kick to a 1-on-1. Martin and Broad. Martin tried to lead up at the footy. Broad held his ground and takes the uncontested mark. Turns and comes inboard. He's able to spot up Jaden Short. The long reaching kick towards the goal mouth. Young's there, now Curvis in from the side. Edwards trying to get a boot to it, but Sard cuts across, picks it up for the Blues. Even takes a bounce in the greasy conditions. 2 as he gets to the left back pocket. Raking kick towards Fisher, beautifully delivered. Didn't have to break stride, running back with the fly.
Fisher plays on. Low trajectory kick, wanted Kerner, can't take it clean, short whacks it on to Prestia. Logo out of wing, hand pass to Pickett, kicks long inside 50, Bolter climbing from the back, can't come down with it. He's Bolton against the boundary line, jams it on the boot, back to the top of the goal square. Newman takes the saving mark for Carlton.
Yeah, it was well done by Durden.
It was very well done, wasn't it?
Yeah, just to keep Revolt away from that contest.
He goes short to Cottrell in the defensive 50. The Blues in their traditional jumper in the navy blue with the white monogram. It's their away game, so they've got the white shorts on. And Richmond, the yellow sash, the black jumper and the black shorts. There's a little purple accent as well for the Alana and Madeline Foundation, so a little purple strip on the lower end of the jumper for Richmond tonight. And the kick found Plowman, who then goes long down the wing to Coney the target, thumped away from him. Falls down to Fisher. His hand pass meant for Cottrell. Richmond win it back. Nankervis to Pickett.
Pickett looks at options further afield. Shea Bolton's the target. Plowman there with him. Got to shove Plowman to work Pickett underneath it, but Baker runs onto the footy. He had a fumble. Boyd tries to slide in. Knocked forward by Baker. Noon slides in. Gets it at the advantage of Young. Careful not to make contact below the knees. No, the umpire didn't like it. It's coming back, and it's going to be a Richmond free kick.
It's an interesting one, that one, isn't it? Because he slid in and made contact with the ball, and then because it's slippery, he slid an extra 2 or 3 metres and then taken the bloke out. So it wasn't like it was at the point of contact with the ball and he slid into him. It was just more the momentum, didn't it? Just carried him into his legs.
Look, I've never liked that rule because you're taught to get in and get the ball first, but by the letter of the law, that free kick's there.
It's a tough shot for Noah Bolter. Out to the right. He'll have to kick from right on 50. Has a crack at it. It's not a bad effort. It's slightly across the face. Up was Tom de Koning, who's able to see it through for a minor score. So Richmond leading by 16 points. 24 minutes gone. Opening term, ABC Sport.
Still feel that Carlton are investing too much time with the handball at the moment, Rammer. The handball chains are obviously the pressure of Richmond are causing that in parts, but I think they need to get the ball on their boot a bit quicker.
Saad from the kick out finds Cripps and his 150th, takes the mark, sweeping hand pass to Cottrell, has a bounce down the southern wing, kicks to half forward, always in a 2-on-1, and beautifully held out of it by Vlosten, and Gibcus takes the intercept mark for Richmond.
And to back that up, Murph, Carlton 49 kicks, 36 handballs. Richmond 50 kicks, 23 handballs.
Gibcus short to Pickett. Mitch Cleary's on the boundary. Mitch.
The ball's been stuck out on that greater southern stand side, Shane Warne's stand side. Sam Doherty now been off for 11 straight minutes. He can't get on the ground given the ball is stuck on that outer wing.
It's nothing worse as a player too when you're stuck on the bench and the ball's over the far side of the wing. You'd be stewing there, big Sam Doherty.
Pickett long down the line. It's whacked out of play, so we got a boundary throw in. As Nankervis works his way to the front, down to Prestia, hand pass to Pickett against the boundary line, heads to half forward. Lewis Young works his way to the front, brings it to ground, shoots a hand pass back to Boyd. Carlton back with it, hand pass to Newman, long kick back in front of the Shane Warne stand, and de Koning flies. Thumped away at the back and out of play. The pressure from Vlosten. It was so good again last week in their victory over Port Adelaide. Tigers by 16 points. They've kicked the only 3 goals in the game, 26 minutes in.
If you want to join us on the SMS, 0437 774 774. Thrown back in. De Koning wins it down. Straight to Cochin, though, who squeezed the kick up to Clark. Trying to break away from Boyd. Boyd got him. Just dropped the footy. And the umpire will reward the tackle. Jordan Boyd has a left half back. One of a few players with the long sleeves on tonight. Looks into the middle of the crowd. No options present. So long down the southern wing. De Koning's there. Cleared him. Nankervis couldn't hang on to it. Mackay with a hand pass to Martin. Snaps around his body only as far as Baker, who marks it right half back for the Titans. And go back inside the defensive 50. Broad has it. Switches out to the left back pocket. Vlosten now. Richmond by 16.
Vlosten's going to go long. He's got Shane Edwards there trying to get back Plowman. Skims off his knuckles. Close to the boundary line. Edwards and Plowman go over. The ball stays in. Ralph Smith. Hand pass to Lambert. Back to Ralph Smith. He kicks down to half forward. He's got a couple of one-on-ones. Bolter just knocks it down to Shea Bolton. Hand pass away to Edwards. Left half forward. Kicks inside 50. Judson Clark got a hand on it, but it spills through to Hewitt of the Blues. Hand pass to Corey Durden in the defensive 50. Hand pass to Boyd. Away to Walsh. She shoots it back for Young. A little fumble. Hurried kick out to the half-back flank. Broad knocks it back inside 50. Putting his head over it, Plowman, he went without it. Newman can't take it clean, trying to soccer it past a number of hands. Close to the boundary line, Cripps soccers it back inboard.
Rioli overran the footy. A chance for Corey Durden, couldn't take it cleanly. Now Martin's tackled by Rioli, but over the shoulder. And Carlton finally gets some relief at right half back.
Just over-possessing, aren't they? And Richmond basically just had one spoil, which covered off the 4 or 5 possessions that Carlton had.
Jack Martin kicks an absolute spiralling ball, which Tristan turned in all different directions. Didn't give Cottrell much of a chance, and Broad takes the intercepting mark. Tigers by 16 points, 3-2-20 to the Blues, 4 behinds. Broad long towards half forward. Bolter the target. Up early Young. Bolter crumbed it, tackled, dropped it. Holding the footy. Lewis Young wins one back in the one-on-one. He'll take the free kick at right half back for the Blues.
Just tried to do a little bit too much, Bolter, on a couple of occasions when he's won the football tonight.
So quarter time is upon us here at the MCG, and it's the Tigers who lead by 16 points, 3-2-20 to Carlton, 4 behinds. A quarter in which the Tigers are able to make the most of their opportunities, and the Blues weren't fully able to capitalise on theirs. So goals to Pickett, Bolton and Lynch, and 4 behinds for Carlton. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Nominations for your Australian of the Year
are now open.
It's time to reflect on your community
and who you admire.
It's time to show your respect
by nominating
and acknowledging them.
And it's time to celebrate
their story,
their contribution,
and their generosity.
I'm Hamish McDonald, and I'd love you to nominate an inspirational Australian who you think is worthy at australianoftheyear.org.au.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Oh, he's a chance. Can't gather. Bolton, hand pass to Rioli, gets it to Pickett for the opening goal. Marlon Pickett on his left. He snaps truly from 40 metres out. Pickett wastes no time. Hand pass to Short, long towards Lynch. He's got 3 to compete against. Gets to the back. Doherty taps it to the goal mouth. Jay Bolton from a couple of metres out volleys it through. Judson Clark takes the mark. First 2 kicks were goals. He swings onto his left. Beautiful ball to Graham, who runs down the southern wing. Kicks it long inside 50 towards Tom Lynch. Was he dragged down by Lewis Young? He was. Here he is, Tom Lynch, Richmond's leading goal scorer with 31 goals so far. Lynch on a 45-degree angle comes in. Welcome back, Tiger Tom.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season
on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Quarter time at the MCG, Thursday night footy. It's the Tigers who lead the Blues by 16 points, 3-2-20 to Carlton, 4 behinds. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass calling the action. Mitch Cleary down the boundary. The thoughts of Adam Ramanaskas and Mark Murphy, your experts.
Well, Murph, early in that quarter, well, probably for 20 minutes of that quarter, it rained. And in that time, Richmond, and you mentioned it a couple of times, talking about territory. So Richmond in the end for that quarter were plus 230 metres. So that's effectively up and back the ground sort of twice. So that's a big result in that weather. And that's how Richmond were able to score 3 goals too. So 5 scoring shots to 4 in that quarter. The other part for Carlton in that quarter is just the over handballing. 55 kicks, 43 handballs. Got him in trouble, particularly that forward handball. Yep. That forward handball doesn't hit the chest and it spills to the ground. Richmond has set up really nicely behind the ball, just waiting there for it, then can go. The other part that really concerned me for the Blues that quarter, only 7 tackles. In the wet conditions, you've got to lay. Now, Richmond only had 14, but they had probably a little bit more of the ball in that quarter. That's concerning. In slippery conditions, you've got to lay a body. You've got to force Richmond into error.
Yeah, because Richmond, the way in which they play, like, and you saw it on the far wing when Cochin won the ball at the clearance and just threw it on the boot and got it forward. So he's just playing predictable to their style that they enjoy playing. They know when it is a little bit greasy, or even when it's not greasy, they're just getting the ball forward and they get yardage from stoppages, whereas Carlton seem to want a handball and then referring pressure and refer, whereas it doesn't give you a chance to tackle when you basically, your opposition's not handballing around stoppages or around the contest. They're just getting the ball forward. So it's playing into the hands of the way in which Richmond like to play by Carlton just over handballing, and they still haven't corrected what they're doing. It's dried up. Well, it's not dried yet, but it's not raining. But it does dry up really quickly here. But what it does when you handball in these conditions, if someone's not clean, it's an extra half a second or a second with the ball, and then that forces another bit of error, and then the pressure comes. So that's what we've been seeing so far, and the yardage is just it's going to become an issue if they continue to play this style against Richmond, because at the end of the game they'll be minus 1,000 metres, and they'll find it very difficult to get some flow in their game and get some score.
Well, just the interesting part with that forward handball, I think forward handball's fine if a defender's not there. But what was happening with Carlton with that forward handball, and they fumbled a couple of them in that quarter, the Richmond defender was right there. So they'll pick the ball up, and they're going back the other way. So again, that's that territory part that we're talking about at the moment. Last week against Essendon, when Carlton were forward handballing, no Essendon defender was there, so they take the ball, take yardage, and score quite easily. So we mentioned Liam Baker in that quarter. He's gone back. Now, I think Baker's gone back because of Carlton's smaller forwards. He's Durden, those type of guys, that the amount of pressure that they're able to apply. I think that was a little bit of a concern for Damien Hardwick and his match committee. He is versatile, no doubt about it, Liam Baker, and I think he'll be that X factor if they need him through the middle of the ground later in this game. But he's so capable anywhere on the ground. Durden and Young did a pretty good job, I think, in that quarter. Lynch only kicked the one goal, had a couple of chances. Jack had a couple of opportunities, but Young was right with him. So I think Carlton will want to get some more separation in their own forward line. So Harry Mackay and Kerner were flying for marks together on a couple of occasions.
They're still working out how to play with one another, those boys. So they haven't played a lot of football together. And Harry loves to be the deepest usually, and Charlie, I think, loves to be deep as well. So that obviously is a bit of trouble in itself. But they need to almost take turns, and one getting a bit further up the ground and then trying to hook back once the ball does go over their head, because they're both just incredible athletes. So I think they just need to try and play a little bit more of a team role. So when it is your turn to be up the ground, you get up, work your man back, and allow your teammate to be deeper rather than both of you be there and crowd the contest.
Thoughts of Mark Murphy and Adam Ramanaskas. Mitch Cleary, a busy opening quarter with Adam Sard and Robbie Tarrant.
Adam Sard looks like he's good to go. There's a photo doing the rounds on social media. A thumb wedged straight into his right eye, so he's copped a bit in that first term. Robbie Tarrant back out there, his right pinky finger, good to go.
So he's seeing out of one eye like a lot of supporters here tonight. Second quarter underway. Nankervis wins down the tap to start proceedings. Pickett tackled by Cripps this time. Talk about setting a statement in the opening term, that tackle from Marlon Pickett.
Well, Cripper owed him one for that in their first quarter. Pickett drove Cripps into the ground early in that first quarter with a tackle.
Not quite the same ferocity there. Nankervis wins down the tap. Matt Kennedy over the footy. Sharks a kick towards half forward. Vlosten volleys it forward. Gains a good 35 metres. Spots up Tom Lynch at right half forward. He kicks long inside 50. Bolter one-on-one. He's beaten Durden. Durden just got a fist to it late. Got it down to Plowman. The hand pass to Docherty. Dribbles a kick to the back pocket. Gathered by Young. Hand pass away to Walsh, and now works it out of defence through Boyd. Long kick up towards half back for the Blues. Free kick in the marking contest, and Cripps takes the advantage.
Lays a hand pass out to Fisher. There's nothing up ahead, so he retreats and kicks back to Martin. Unfortunately, the only one out there tonight, no Dustin Martin, missing for Richmond with illness. As Jack Martin for Carlton kicks into the centre corridor, slides past his preferred option. Vlosten clean pick up, hand pass to Prestia, goes back to McIntosh. Kicks Richmond down the wing. Rioli marks, hand pass to Pickett, who comes flying through, looks for Lynch, can't reel in the one-hander. Skids all the way through to Ralph Smith, he couldn't collect. Now a chance for Pickett, he's met hard by Young. Drilled into the ground and a ball up. 45 out from the Richmond goal at right half forward. 3-0. The Tigers lead it by 16 points. Second quarter in a row the Blues haven't kicked a goal after being goalless Q4 against the Bombers.
Nankervis tried to take it out of the right. Walsh was bumped out of the way. Short just kicks inside 50. Bolter caught behind against Sam Durden. Couldn't take it cleanly. Sard sockets it towards the boundary line. Cottrell runs onto it. Good block from Sard as well as he followed up towards Silvani and Vlosten. The 2-1s on the win. Silvani got a fist onto it and spoils it out of play. That's a good result for the Blues.
Good work right at the end by Jack Silvani. He was sort of out of position, and Vlosten had all the space on the outer wing, but Jack worked his tail off to get it there and make a contest and spoil the ball an extra 25 metres forward.
Tigers by 16 for the boundary throw-in, and Curvis wins it down for Richmond. Here's Cochin, kicks to half forward. Shea Bolton up, can't complete the juggled mark. He's going to get it anyway. Advantage applied. Richmond head inside 50, and on the end of it, Noah Bolter takes the mark. I think it was a high tackle and all of that.
It was, but it's so smart by Shane Edwards. He's the only one that realised it was a free kick. And just such a good play for Richmond for such a long time. And then again, it's going into the Richmond's forward 50 in that one, with that one-on-one contest. Just quick, get the ball moving on as quickly as you can. Don't wait.
And the smarts not to just bomb it, go long. Like in these conditions, you can be excused to do that, but the good players lower their eyes and still kick it to space.
Story of the night so far, Carlton have been missing. Meanwhile, Richmond haven't. Noah Bolter makes it more of the same to start the second term. Pops it through for the Tigers. They move to 4-2-26. Carlton 4 behinds. 3 minutes into quarter number 2 on Grandstand AFL. Adam Ramanauskas and Mark Murphy.
Well, I can't have an inside 50 in this quarter yet. It's all been Richmond's end of the ground. So 3 inside 50s to nil. Carlton been on the back foot for the entirety of this quarter. I know we're only 3.5 minutes old, but the ball's lived in Richmond's half of the ground to start this quarter. The only time it went past Carlton's half is when Jack Silvani was able to spoil the ball out of bounds there. So really good, really strong start, really positive start by the Tigers in this second quarter.
In the cricket, the second of the one-day internationals, Sri Lanka batting first. They're 2 for 62 in the 15th over. In the middle, Walsh gets the clearance for the Blues. Out past to Nunes. Spirals a kick out towards Charlie Kerner. Can't take the mark on his chest. Grimes gathers for Richmond. Out pass out in front of Short. Taps it to his own advantage. And then can't keep it alive as he tries to tap it up to his own advantage. Just a few of the Blues forwards unable to capitalise when they've had one-on-ones on the lead.
It's a great match-up, Dylan Grimes on Charlie Kerner. He's an underestimated, quick, athletic player, Dylan Grimes, and Charlie's a real thoroughbred. And he's got the smarts behind him, doesn't he, Dylan Grimes? So it's an interesting contest, that one.
Toss back in, and Curvis swats it to the front, straight to Walsh of the Blues. Hand pass to Matt Kennedy, slipped over. He rolls out in front of him and Dion Prestia. They have a smile about it.
This is the beauty of Dylan Grimes. The 2017 grand final, he plays on Eddie Betts, who was the most in-form hot player. Now 2022, the most informed hot player is playing on Charlie Kerner. It's an amazing player, Dylan Grimes.
Tigers by 22 from the boundary throw in. Nankervis got a little piece on it. Doherty squeezed a kick forward and up strong. He's Nathan Broad. Takes the intercept mark for Richmond. Hand pass to Pressia and immediately the Tigers go. He shares it with Rioli at centre half back. That's Dan Rioli. Kicks out wide for Edwards. He's pushed off it by Sardo. Wins the footy. Carlton back onto it. Short kick to Silvani. And he marks on the logo southern wing. Looks straight to the corridor. Here's Kennedy. They're queuing up Carlton. Hand pass to Walsh. Walsh kicks deep. Kerno down there. Slips over and Grimes runs into the space. Attacks the footy and takes the intercept mark for Richmond.
Grimes works it out to Vlosten. The kick to the left back pocket. He can chip it up to McIntosh. He's in no urgency to move it despite no one on the mark. Blues determined to try and use the corridor where they can. McIntosh waits for options to present. Around the boundary line, kicks to Gibcus. Surely we'll have to get a rising star nominee at some stage. Drives a long kick around the southern wing. Tom Lynch in the pack, almost grabbed it. Now Bolton, that's Shea Bolton, tries to jump over the top. He can't break the footy away, and Tom Lynch has it underneath him.
Just love that from Tom Lynch. The Koenig in the front, Lewis Young in the back, didn't matter, he still flew for the ball.
The Tigers by 22 from the ball up. Edwards first clean touch, hand pass to Short, tumbles a kick to half forward. Lynch just wins the one-on-one, hands down against Louis Young, and he'll kick it left half forward just inside the 50.
Well, it's concerning at the moment, but it's going to get even more concerning if he puts this one through. To be 5 goals up in these conditions, and at the moment, Carlton don't really look like it, do they? They can't get the ball forward with any sort of great momentum, and Richmond just look like it's playing to the way in which they love to play in terms of the contest and just getting yardage, and their forwards playing in front, and they're sort of... The Carlton backs are a bit undermanned at the moment.
Tom Lynch on the set shot. He rides it all the way home. Tigers have the first 5. And a big headache for Michael Voss in the Carlton coach's box. 7 minutes into Q2. It is Richmond 5-2-32, Carlton 4 behinds. Grandstand AFL, Mark Murphy and Adam Ramanauskas.
So you just look at that there, Murph. So Lynch is involved in the contest, a 2-on run. Able to bring the ball to ground, so gets the restart. That's then the restart contest. Lynch then gets back inside forward 50, resets in a one-on-one position with Young. Richmond win the stoppage. Now they're doing really well around the contest, 4-2 in this quarter, but overall in the entire game at the moment it's 14-8.
Yeah.
So not a strength of Richmond, but they're doing a good job around contest. What that does then is allow Lynch that one-on-one to be able to kick that goal.
Back in the middle to Koenig, trying to take it out of the ruck after no one had a decisive tap. Kennedy dragged down, good tackle by Short. Graham's kick skimmed off the boot, did fall to Prestia though. Hand pass to Lambert, kicks inside 50. Lynch had led up to the footy. Young punches it down straight to Revolt, who snaps on the right and puts it through. They're the runaway train of the moment. 6 unanswered goals. And the Tigers balloon out to a 34-point advantage. 6-2-38 to the Blues, 4 behinds.
I think it's time for probably maybe Jack Silvani to come around and give a little bit of support to the defence. I know it's probably not the way in which Michael Voss would like to play, but they're just not winning the ball at the coalface at all, and it makes it hard when you're losing contests from the centre square bounce, as we know, when you have 6 forwards of these 6 backs. But they need to do something here, Carl, to try and stem the flow, and I think Jack Silvani might be an important one to try and get up the ground and get back and support the defence at the moment, because they're under enormous pressure.
Yeah, they've either got to create even numbers around the contest, or you're right, you got to slide someone around the back after the bounce, just to create the outnumber in Richmond's forward line.
Richmond by 34, a new game high. They've kicked the first 6. Back in the middle, Shea Bolton, first touch, hand pass to Cochin, hand pass to Vlosten, but they're retreating. He gives it out to Bolton on the wing, hand pass to Baker, kicks along the boundary line, and Judson Clark, in his second game, the 18-year-old, takes the mark for Richmond. Immediately looks corridor, finds McIntosh. Outer edge of the centre square. 6-2 to 4 behinds. McIntosh goes short of Vlosten, who marks alongside the centre circles.
Looks inside 50, spots a free option. Beautiful delivery to Kane Lambert. The unused sub last week, able to push forward and put himself in a dangerous position.
Jaden Short.
Slips it around the back to Short from 50. He won't quite have the purchase. It's out to the right. And in the end, finishes on the right-hand side of the right behind post, out of bounds on the full. Tigers by 34.
That's worrying, Murph, for the Blues.
They look pedestrian at the moment, because you can't have a slow build up like that and have a free inside 50.
Correct.
And then Jaden Short run around and get an easy handball for a shot on goal.
Young to a pack at half-back, spills to Noah Bolter, hand pass inside to Lambert, got it away to Baker, to Graham, hand pass to Gibkers, who comes charging into the front half, kicks out to half-forward, Clark and Sard out after it, Sard collects, hand passes back inside the field of play as he runs out, McIntosh put his head over it, he's bowled over, lost the footy, Baker collects and tackled by Sard out of play. We'll have a throw-in on the southern wing, and a bit of push and shove. Adam Sard and Liam Baker going at it momentarily. 11 minutes into the second quarter, Richmond with the only 6 goals in the game. They lead it by 34 points.
Corbin Minimas and Matt Clinch calling the action. Mitch Cleary down the boundary. Mark Murphy and Adam Ramanaskas, your experts. Bolter wins down the tap, then looks to follow up his ruck work. Cannon into George Hewitt. The Blues have been able to get it to half-back, though. Cottrell kicks around his body. It's wide of Owies. Baker runs onto it for the Tigers. Hand pass into the middle of the ground for Lambert. Kicks his ball across his body and finds Ralph Smith. He plays on, a couple of metres on O'Brien. Sends a high kick inside 50. Tom Lynch with 2 to beat. Getting back, Young. Put body contact on. Brought down to the front to Shea Bolton. His hand pass to Edwards. The kick is smothered as Nick Newman sees it out of play. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Just one to keep an eye on from the Blues' perspective as the game rolls on. Tom de Koning was in some doubt this week with a corked quad. Hardly trained. There was some question marks on his fitness. Off the 6-day break, he'll be one to watch as the game continues.
Thanks, Mitch. Mitch Cleary downstairs, a 34-point lead for Richmond. Here is de Koning. First hands on it, close to the boundary line. And Hewitt, with plenty of momentum up, runs out of play with the footy.
Well, they're pretty limited tall stocks at the moment down at Carlton. So if he has come in with a corked quad, to be able to fight out conditions like tonight as well, it's going to be a tough ask for him.
Boundary throw in, half forward for Richmond. Bolter grabs it out of the ruck. Hand pass to Graham. Graham looks inside the forward 50. Sard down there. Cottrell spoils it, but to the danger spot. Top of the defensive goal square. Hand pass to Young, who fumbles again. Close to Edwards. Lynch keeps his feet. Hand pass to Rewald. His kick smothered. Sam Durden does well. Lays the smother and knocks it out of play. Doherty sees it over. A throw in. Forward pocket for Richmond. Louis Young had the game of his career last week. He had 14 intercept possessions against the Bombers, a career high, and 5 intercept marks. He's got his hands full tonight with Tom Lynch. Richmond 6 goals to zip.
Tigers deep in attack. Bolter and de Koning. Bolter knocked it down towards Koch and ricochets off Young. Walsh hard against the boundary. Hand pass to Kennedy. He's thrown to the turf by Graham, and Graham is certainly wanting to play his role in these greasy conditions.
So 8 inside 50s to 2 this quarter, but possession, Richmond 50, Carlton only 26. And handball happy again, 14 kicks, 12 handballs.
So Sam Walsh started at half forward. He's pushed up to be the extra at the contest. Here he is from the throw-in. Footy stuck underneath him as Graham lays the tackle. It means that Broad is the loose in defence for the Tigers.
Ticks by 34, midway through the second. Bolter wins the hit out. Hewitt onto it though for Carlton. Jams a kick down the wing. Here's Mackay up in front with Tarrant for company. Can't complete the juggled mark. Tarrant knocks it on. Graham hand pass away to Cochin, high half forward. Shoots a handball down to the 50. Kennedy grabs it. He's gang tackled. Up lets them roll as the ball spits out. Walsh kicks down the boundary line. Silvani there going out after it with Gibcus, and Gibcus knocks it out of play on the wing. 6-2-38 Richmond. Carlton 4 behinds. They missed some gettable set shots in the opening quarter. They didn't kick a goal in the final term against Essendon last week, so they're going 3 quarters without a major.
Jack Riebold having a run in the ruck. He fully missed it. Short was there to clean it up at the back. Kicks inside 50. Young dropped the mark. Here's a chance for Noah Bolter in front, lunging forward. Good defence in the end by Carlton on the last line. Got it out to Fisher. Little toe poke. Sees it away from Edwards. Follows up again. Surely that's contact below the knees against Baker. Not paid. Shea Bolton kicks towards the 50. Lynch gathers. Cuts around Boyd. Kicks off the left boot to the teeth of goal. Sard's there. He dropped the mark. Bolter gathers. Can't get boot to ball. Still a chance for Richmond at the top of the goal square. Bolter's hand pass to Lambert. Can't take it. And Nick Newman just taps it through. Give us a stoppage.
Give us a break.
Through for a minor score. Tigers by 35 points.
Gee, that Baker slide dead set dangerous on Zach Fisher. With a contact low down on the lower leg of Zach Fisher.
Yeah, well, if the Nunes one's paid in the first quarter, that's definitely paid.
O'Brien off half-back trying to hit up Silvani. It's knocked out of play. They cannot get the footy in their front half, Carlton. And a boundary throw-in on the wing.
Yeah, 10 inside, 50s to 2 now.
Yeah, that's where you break a leg. Just seeing the replay of that. That's extremely dangerous. And the whole crowd just groaned, didn't they?
Yeah.
Tigers by 35. Carlton haven't kicked a goal. 15 minutes into the second term from the boundary throw-in. There's a free for Carlton, a ruck infringement. It's going the Coning's way. The Bronx cheer from the Carlton fans. He's going to play on off half-back, and the lefty just goes long to a contest. Mackay's involved. Knocks it on. They've got runners out the back. One of them always hand pass to Kerner. Kicks inside 50. There's no one there deep. Broad tracking it. The ball runs away from him and out of play. As you said, Ram, a good result for Carlton. The boundary throw-in forward pocket for the Blues at the punt road end.
Well, Richmond had the numbers inside Carlton's forward 50, so Broad let it bounce. Hoping he'll come back to him now. A stoppage deep in Carlton's forward 50.
Thrown back in. Cripps tries to do it himself. Eventually with the hand pass to Hewitt, he's bundled off it. Rioli works it to Tarrant, to Broad. Squeezes the kick out of defensive 50. O'Brien tried to use his body to volley it forward. He's stripped of it by Graham. Fisher over the footy. Ball spills clear. Newman can't knock it forward. Walks through traffic. Got it to Cripps. Hand pass forward to Hewitt. Outside of the boots. Got it!
Great kick.
Just created something out of nothing. And George Hewitt, the man with his head over the footy, was able to finish in front of goal. And the Blues, who failed to score a goal in their match last week in the final term against the Bombers, finally have one. Almost 3 quarters later, 16 minutes gone in the second term. They're 1-4-10 to the Tigers, 6-3-39. The margin, Richmond's way by 29 points.
It was an encouraging bit of play from Carlton because they did win the hard ball. There was 2 or 3 real strong gathers, and there wasn't just a flick-out handball. They actually took on the tackler, released to a player who was in a better position, and then Hewitt gets on the back of one of Walsh to Cripps to Hewitt, and he finishes a pretty handy banana.
Unbelievable season, averaging 30 disposals a game. In all 10 matches he's played, he's had between 28 and 33 touches, so that's why he's averaging 30. Incredibly consistent. Back in the middle, Silvani wins it down. Cripps, hand pass away to Fisher. To Silvani, sweeping hand pass inside 50. Cottrell centre half forward. The roar starts for the Carlton fans. Gives it to O'Brien. Do it again, the Blues. No worries. O'Brien pops it through, and Carlton have kicked 2 in a minute after going almost a quarter and a half without one. 17 minutes played, second term. Carlton 2-4-16. Richmond 6-3-39. Tigers by 23 points. 18 played in the second.
Oh, it's off the back of the centre bounce clearance there. So a good handball, good forward handball there by the Blues. Have been critical of their forward handball, but all those hit. Then Lockie Young just just having the composure to get onto his left foot, wheel around, kick the goal. We know conditions are a little bit greasy, but just that ability to outside 50, kick the goal, really important. Just puts Carlton back into this game now.
Adam Ramanauskas with you on ABC Sport. Tigers with the first 3 of this second quarter. Carlton with the last 2. Nankervis swats it forward. Gets it to centre half forward for Richmond. Graham sliding in. Working back Hewitt. Out pass straight to Ralph Smith. Kicks inside 50 through the hands of Boyd. Slaps it away to the advantage of Sard. Hand pass to O'Brien. Now working in the back pocket. His hand pass skids off the turf in front of Young and through for a minor score. 24 points the Tigers lead. 18 minutes gone, second term.
24 handballs, 23 kicks in the quarter for Carlton.
That's all wrong. That ratio is starting to rain again.
Richmond by 4 goals. Sard's taken 4 bounces, now 5, still inside the defensive 50, along the boundary line, northern side, kicks down the wing. Gibcus, double-fisted, punches it back down to half-forward. Nunes went without it, clever Ralph Smith, knocks it on to Rewald, sweeping hand pass 30 metres to Shea Bolton, spins past one, caught, got a kick away somehow as he's been tackled to ground. Clark top of the goal square for Richmond. He can't take it clean, and O'Brien's hand pass goes through for a rush behind. Shea Bolton was almost upended, taken to ground in the Nunes tackle, and somehow got boot to ball.
He's one of my favourite players to watch, Shea Bolton. It's just exciting. Everything that he does, you're just like, you're just gasping.
Somehow found a way to scissor kick it. Here's Doherty, long towards half-back. Martin couldn't take the mark, falls to Prestia, kicks Richmond into attack once more, brought down by Plowman. Hewitt's there to gather. Hand pass to Cripps on the defensive 50. Turns back on his right-hand side, kicks out in front of Silvani. Baker back with the float, got a finger to it. Silvani gathers on the southern wing, looks to half-forward, puts it out in front of Cottrell. Race after that. He runs away from Nankervis, gets towards the attacking 50. Great centering ball. It bounced off the chest of Corey Durden and gathered by Rioli, kicked it straight into the back of Graham, ricochets up to Cripps, took the tackle, hand pass to Kennedy, kicks towards the goal mouth, it's Charlie Curnow. Now Curvis got back, did he give away the free kick? No. Richmond reinforcements arrive. Dan Rioli can't knock it clear. Kerner has a go at it. Now Baker just gets it out of the defensive 50. Down low, Edwards couldn't take it. Socks it towards Carlton's 50. Onto it, Hewitt. Runs to 45. Steadies. Can he kick a second? It's offline to the left. Had as much time and space as anyone in the last couple of moments. He couldn't capitalise. Tigers by 24.
Dan Rioli on the kick out, comes wide to McIntosh off the back flank, kicks to Noah Bolter in a one-on-one. Young spoils it away from him. Newman and Prestia made it front on. Newman becomes the tackler. Ball spits out up, lets them go. Pack forms behind the pair. And Ralph Smith is gang tackled. Ball up between wing and half forward for the Blues.
What I like with Carlton for the last 5 or 6 minutes, they're just starting to outnumber a contest. That's why they're getting a couple of clean takeaways and being able to move the ball.
Richmond by 4 goals as we tick towards half-time. Up it goes on the wing, Nankervis tackled by Silvani and Cripps, and another stoppage.
Yeah, I think prior to that they were getting outworked, weren't they, from stoppage, and now they're starting to invest numbers and starting to pressure and harass.
Free kick. It's going against Silvani, hanging on to Nankervis, and the Richmond co-captain to take it at half-back.
Sends it up towards Tom Lynch, one-on-one with Young. Young sport it down to the back. Doherty now head over the footy. Almost slipped past Lynch. Got it back to Young and now to Nunes. Left half back for the Blues. Up towards Mackay. Tarrant worked him underneath and Nankervis is able to gather. Off balance. Got Cannon into by Mackay. No whistle. Matt Kennedy flies on the wing against Lambert. Prestia front and centre. Hand pass into the middle of the ground for Clark. Under pressure, squeezes a kick towards half forward. Edwards clean below his knees. Hand pass though not clean enough for Pickett to gather. Now O'Brien tries to knock it on the wing. Cottrell trying to slide in. Over the top of the footy, Baker. Pickett picked it up. Got a push in the back, and Dan Rioli's going to take the advantage.
Rioli's kick to centre half forward. Ralph Smith in front of the pack. 2 Blues at the back. Hand on it from Doherty. Socket away by Nunes. Plenty of Carlton players at centre half back. Nunes to De Koning. Surge kick forward. Up the wing. Charlie Kerner on a one-on-one with Grimes. Grimes sockers it off the ground. Richmond with numbers out wide. Rioli kicks down to Pickett in a one-on-one. Hewitt goes to ground. Pickett grabs the footy. Hand pass to Baker. Takes on the tackle. Still on the wing. Hand pass to Rioli, kicks deep into the pocket. Lynch climbs, knocks it down to Jack Rewalt, and he's bowled over the boundary line by Jordan Boyd, and a boundary throw in forward pocket for the Tigers.
Pretty good couple of minutes of football by both
hasn't it?
teams.
Yeah.
Just both really just cracking in. Carlton can feel a little bit of momentum swinging their way now.
Tigers by 24, thrown back in to Koenig from behind, wins down the tap against Nankervis. Kennedy off the outside of the boot, kicks towards the boundary at right half back. It bounces out in front of Owies. And on a normal night, that might have been insufficient intent, but in the greasy conditions, you couldn't possibly pay it.
Been a lot of great one-on-one contests, hasn't there? So both teams are really upping their work rate and getting to each contest, and one-on-one contests being great.
Now Kervis used his body against Koenig, but Cripps is there for the Blues, kicks over his shoulder. Baker couldn't take the mark. Owies works him out of it. Reinforcements arrive short. Good. Ducked out of the tackle. Kicks Richmond into attack once more. Edwards flies in the pack. Got it down to ground level. Revolt could have been taken high. Sard emerges. Couple of bounces as he dashes out of defence. Feeds the hand pass to Young in the back pocket.
Young goes short to Nunes, who can mark at half back. Adam Sard, by the way, leads the AFL in bounces coming in. 62 bounces. The next most is 27. So he's had more than twice as many as the next player. He's probably had 10 tonight. As a long kick goes up to the wing, spills down to the Tigers' way and Pickett. Hand pass to Grimes. Gives it to Vlosten. Kicks across the MCG. Richmond with it through Baker. Alongside the centre circles. He's just going to go short. And the drop punt to Marlon Pickett. As Pickett can take some ground and then just kick it deep to the goal square. Rewalt climbs. Lewis Young. Intercept mark for Carlton. It was 4 deep in the pack. And now turns and kicks out to half-back. The target there was O'Brien. Slips through to Prestia. Hand pass to Pickett, who can load up again and bang it goalward, but he misses out to the left. And a behind.
Just that kick by Lewis Young. In these conditions, you can't be lazy with your kick. It's got to get there.
It was off one step, wasn't it?
The kick's got to get there. It's got to get there quickly. Because any bit of pressure, the ball's going to come to ground.
18 inside 50s to 6 the way of the Tigers. Sard plays on.
That's where he gets his bounces from.
Takes a bounce after his third step. Works it up to Paddy Cripps. I think he knows he holds that stat as well. He's going to get it here around the back from Cripps once more. Can't take a bounce. Turns on his left. Nice kick. Straight up the southern wing. Is able to find Doherty. He works it further afield and Cottrell marks. How can Carlton get their big boys? Mackay and Kerner involved. Haven't taken a mark so far. Cottrell trying to dance around the man on the mark in Vlosten. Gained an extra few metres. High kick inside 50. Charlie's there. Can't take the mark. Cochin races back. Hand pass over his shoulder to Rioli. Trying to link up with Baker. Great pick up once more from the number 7. Drives it up to the wing. Lambert just punches it on. Got it to Lynch. Off a step. Snaps around his body. Puts it out in front of Revolt. Plowman in the awkward one-on-one. Had to wait for it. Revolt with a little toe poke, but lost his footing, and Plowman kept his. And he's able to get around Clark and work up with Young. And here's Plowman once more.
Hand pass to Cottrell. Shares it with Cripps. Not a great hand pass for him. Now they're under the pump, the Blues. Cottrell knocks it back to Cripps. Takes on a bit of contact. Hand pass out in front of Sard. Wanted a free, doesn't get it. Vloss in the other direction. Links up with his premiership skipper in Cochin. Hand pass to Short. Bouncing his way through the middle of the G. Chips it inside 50. G. Lynch and Clark both left it for one another. It slides through to Young, and Carlton can mop it up. Short out to O'Brien. O'Brien chips to Newman. Back flank. He sees Walsh further afield. Defensive side of the wing. Marks for Carlton.
Spots a free option in Corey Durden under the Shane Warne stand. Carlton trying to have their go at attacking now as he dances around the player on the mark. Kicks towards 50. Harry Mackay comes out. 1, 2. Got it. Finally a mark. And a bit of a shove from Robbie Tarrant after he took the mark, which Carlton fans thought could have been 50. He'll be on a 45-degree angle, have to kick from right on 50.
It's going to be too far for him to set up for the snap here, Harry. So usually from probably anywhere before 45 metres out, he'd go for the snap in this, especially this angle of the ground. But he'll have to go for the stock standard drop punt here.
They've 4 behind since the Blues kicked the last 2 goals. Harry Mackay with a big kick, veers out to the left and steers it through. Making his moments count. As I think that was his first touch for this second quarter. And he's able to steer it through for a goal having taken the mark. Just his third touch for the match. All of a sudden, the Blues with the last 3 goals of the match. The margin's back to 19 points Richmond's way, with the Tigers having got out by 35 in this quarter. Richmond 6-6-42 to Carlton 3-5-23. 28 minutes gone, second term.
Just good enough late in this quarter to take a mark inside forward 50. I think for the second part of this quarter, I think Carlton have really picked up their intensity around the contest, just pressuring Richmond, forcing Richmond into error, forcing Richmond into some sort of fumble.
Tigers by 19, back in the middle to Koning. Went up in the ruck and then gets the clearance. Down to half forward for the Blues. They're all trying to snatch at it. Still no clean possession. Half forward for Carlton as Kennedy extracts it. Hand pass to Fisher. Got around Rioli. Hits up Kerner. Out to meet it. Can't complete the mark. Spills down to Nunes. Jams it on the boot. Vlosten decides not to mark it. Knocks it away, but straight to O'Brien. Kicks back goalward, and Tarrant got a hand on it on the way through. Punched it into the behind post, so we got a boundary throw in here. Forward pocket for Carlton. Richmond with the first 6 goals of the game. They led by 35 points at the 16-minute mark of this second quarter. Carlton have kicked the last 3. The Tigers lead cut to 19.
Cripps wants to do the ruck work against Dan Curvis. Got it down to Walsh. Late whistle. Just as Fisher was about to fly on goal. And it's going back to Dion Prestia. So I assume that was a hold off the ball. And Prestia is going to go straight down the middle. Finds Shaden Short on the edge of the defensive 50. He wants to go long and strong. Doherty's underneath it. There's no one there for the Tigers. Sam Doherty, so reliable off half-back, takes another intercepting mark to Nick Newman at left half-back. Kicks to Nunes, centre wing member side.
Nunes going to roll and then kick it deep towards their two-headed monster, Mackay and Kerner. Neither of them can mark. Spills through to Mackay. Shakes the tackle. Hand pass to Corey Durden. He's crunched by Broad. Vlosten wins at half-back for Richmond. Hands it to Pickett. Away to Baker. Fumbles and then just sockers it forward twice. Got it to Shea Bolton. Draws Doherty. Hand pass to Graham. Open forward 50. Looks for Lynch. Wrong foot's Young. Runs into the open goal. Lynch has 3. The Tigers arrest some momentum before half-time and put it back out to a 25-point ball game. Half-hour mark, second term. Tom Lynch walks one in for the Tigers. They're 7-6-48, Carlton 3-5-23. Grandstand AFL as we approach half-time.
I was a bit lucky there by Liam Baker, but forget that part. So when Jack Graham receives the ball, there's 3 Carlton players inside forward 50, only 1 Richmond. So that's Tom Lynch. Okay, so Graham's then smart enough to hold it. All Lewis Young had to do was make one little bit of body contact. And then Lynch couldn't get that ball. But Lynch did the old hesitation move. Hesitated to come back, come to the football. Lewis Young fell for it. Lynch goes, a beautiful kick by Graham. Absolutely magnificent. But there's only one option he had.
Adam Ramanauskas with you on ABC Sport. Koning wins down the tap, trying to link up with Cripps. Taken by Dan Curvis, though. Gets it to Graham. High ball to half forward. Doherty underneath it. Didn't take the mark and sockers it along the ground in frustration. But the siren had sounded for half-time. So for as much work as what the Blues did in the middle stages of that second quarter, kicking 3 goals, the Tigers take the quarter with 4 goals to 3. And Richmond lead by 25 points at the main break. 7-6-48. To the Blues, 3-5-23 after Richmond led by 16 points at quarter time. 3 goals to Tom Lynch, individuals to Revolt, Bolter and Shea Bolton. Meanwhile for the Blues, their goals have come through O'Brien, Mackay and Hewitt. The thoughts of Adam Ramanauskas and Mark Murphy, your experts on ABC Sport.
It was a bit of a momentum killer, wasn't it, really, at the end? I know that they will go into half-time now. Richmond up and about after that last goal. It was a nice bit of passenger play, but Carlton over the last probably 10-15 minutes, you just started to feel it. They were getting their nose back in front. They were pressuring, harassing, winning the ball, getting the ball forward, starting to play a bit more of a yardage type game and making the most of their opportunities. But that last goal there just sort of kills you a little bit. They've kicked 3 in a row and we're going into half-time only 3 goals down, but now they go in still 25 points adrift to the Tigers, and it's a long way back from 25 points against the Tigers, especially with conditions a little bit conducive to the way in which the Richmond football side like to play their brand of football. So It's a big ask from Carlton this second half, but they've still got opportunities. They're real key forwards. I know Harry kicked one late there, but they haven't been anywhere near it so far. So I think from their point of view, they'll love the skies to stay clear, especially Charlie Kerner and Harry Mackay, but it just doesn't feel like they're getting their game going whatsoever. They started to get a little bit in that back half of that second quarter, but still Richmond still playing a real basic style of football and still, I reckon, cleaner around the ball.
Well, Carlton's mids have got to generate more inside 50 opportunities. So that second quarter alone, inside 50s were 21-10 in Richmond's favour. So in the end, it was 4 goals, 4 to 3 goals, 1. Now, we thought Carlton did wrestle a little bit of momentum back through the middle part of that quarter. But if Carlton have got to concede 21 inside 50s, it's going to be really hard work. It's going to be really, really hard work for Carlton's defence for the night. What I have noticed in this first half, when it was raining, then even when it dried up, is Richmond were cleaner. They were cleaner over the football. So particularly those little half volley ground balls,
Edwards and Baker,
just seem like, Rioli, Marlon Pickett. They just seem to pick them up, give a nice little handball out. Whereas Carlton would fumble it, and the ball would bobble, and then a Richmond player would be there to apply the pressure.
I even picked up on just handballs that weren't quite out in front, and Carlton players having to stop, which then forces another handball. So they have over handballed, but I think the way in which they have handballed, they've put it behind their teammate, which then just makes another handball have to happen because you've got to stop, pivot. You can't have that momentum going forward. So their skills have certainly been of a higher class, haven't they, Richmond, so far in this first half, and it's showing on the scoreboard. And they're in sort of plays from inside 50. They're just setting up perfectly outside from probably 70 to 80 out, aren't they, the Richmond defence, and getting the ball back into Carlton's defence, which, as we know, are sort of undermanned with their tall stocks at the moment, which they've actually held up quite well, Sam and Lewis. They've been quite handy down there. They've done a good enough job, I think, on their key talls, but you're not going to win too many games of football having 21-10 inside 50s in that second quarter.
The other part that stood out, Rammer, is the clearances, in which has been such a strength for Carlton. Richmond with 10 more in the first half, including 4 of their 7 goals have come from stoppages. So beating them around the ball and making them pay.
Well, tougher, closer to the contest, Richmond players. But then, once they do win, it's a territory game. Richmond will again plus 200 metres in that second quarter. So, all these little things are just continuing to add up to the way Richmond are playing in a positive manner and Carlton in the negative manner.
Half-time, sorry.
I just got one big stat for you before we go to the news at half-time.
I was waiting.
You're denying Rammery's pie and sausage roll.
Adam Sard up to 70 bounces for the season. The next most is Nick Hind with 27. So all of a sudden he has a 43 bounce gap.
What's the record?
That's a good...
Got him.
Got me.
Something for Corbin to do during the news. We'll run through some of your messages and the teams for the rest of round 14. The Tigers by 25 points. Let's get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Glenn Lauder. The Greens say they have an alternative plan to help the nation's struggling electricity sector. There's been an unprecedented intervention by the energy regulator to avoid blackouts, something the federal energy minister says will continue as long as required. The federal government blames the previous government's inaction on transitioning energy to renewables. But the Greens leader, Adam Bandt, says it's time the nation's power generators are renationalised.
Governments handed over control of an essential service, electricity, over to big coal and gas corporations, and they wrote the rules to benefit the big coal and gas corporations rather than people, and we're seeing the results of that now.
Meanwhile, rich nations have been accused of betraying the developing world on the final day of global climate talks in the German city of Bonn. Poorer countries say they were promised a new fund to help them cope with the losses and damages that result from rising temperatures. Here's the BBC's Matt McGrath.
The richer countries, the United States and European Union and others, are very sensitive on this issue because they feel that if they give ground on putting money into loss and damage, then they'll be setting themselves up for perhaps compensation claims that run for decades, perhaps even centuries. This is about the idea that poorer countries are being impacted now by the emissions that were put up over the last couple of centuries by the richer countries, which they don't deny either, but they draw the line at paying money for those impacts that are being felt now.
Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong says the nation must do more to reintegrate itself to the so-called Pacific family. Meeting with her New Zealand counterpart, the pair discussed Pacific security and the role of climate change ahead of next month's pivotal Pacific Islands Forum Leaders meeting. Senator Wong has criticised the previous government and says there's work to be done in partnership with the Pacific in the wake of China's strategic push into the region.
Well, first, I think Australia has more to do as a member of the Pacific family.
The peak body for culturally diverse Australians has welcomed the federal government's announcement to record more robust ethnicity data. Government agencies have historically only collected data on place of birth and language spoken, an approach seen as limited compared to other multicultural nations. FECA CEO Mohammed Al-Kafaji says multicultural groups have been calling for this change for years.
If you are not counted, you don't know that you exist, and the programs and the policies will not reflect the diversity of Australia today.
South Australia's Chief Public Health Officer says the death of a young child with COVID-19 is a rare and tragic event. Professor Nicholas Burrier says the child, who was under the age of 3, was previously well and had some mild respiratory symptoms. She says the exact cause of death is still being investigated.
It is very tragic to have to report this to South Australians today, and absolutely my deepest sympathy to this child's family. I can't say anything more about this case because it is entirely confidential, and as I've indicated, we've reported the case to the coroner.
2 men have sighed with relief after being found not guilty of murdering a Canberra man that they met on the dating app Grindr. Here's Adrienne Reardon.
The 2 young men were this afternoon found not guilty in the New South Wales Supreme Court of the murder of Canberra father and auctioneer Peter Keeley. The 56-year-old's body was found in bushland at Browlee on the south coast in February 2020. 3 17-year-old boys were charged with his murder at the time. 2 of those accused, now aged 19 and 20, were today found not guilty of Mr. Keeley's murder, but guilty to aggravated kidnapping. The court heard one of the accused had been communicating with Mr. Keeley on the dating app Grindr prior to his death. The pair were visibly relieved when the verdict was read, amid tears from their family members seated in the public gallery.
And local sports clubs are unhappy about the announcement that the Australian Grand Prix will remain in Melbourne until 2035. Albert Park has hosted the event since 1996, but clubs say their activities are being disrupted. Albert Park Community Sporting Tenants Association President Hugo Armstrong says this year's race was a disaster for the community clubs.
The Grand Prix is a great event in the wrong place. It is really difficult to get, all these events to be able to be in the same place. But look, we have to compromise. We understand that. We want them, firstly, to make sure it never happens in April again.
You've been listening to ABC News.
Winter on ABC iView is chilling. I mean thrilling.
I may have found something.
You're still playing the same old game of chess. So what game are you playing?
With entire seasons to keep you guessing.
What about loyalty? What about friendship?
What you did. Dishonour's all gone.
Mystery drama in Troppo, chilling cat and mouse in Killing Eve, plus Total Control, You Can't Ask That, and so many more.
So, when does the show start?
Snuggle in and chill with the best this winter. Stream for free on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
The ball up, Edwards, first clean touch, hand pass to short, tumbles a kick to half forward. Lynch just wins the one-on-one, hands down against Louis Young. Tom Lynch on the set shot. He rides it all the way home.
Hand pass to Lambert, kicks inside 50. Lynch had led up to the 20. Young punches it down, straight to Revolt, who snaps on the right, puts it through. They're the runaway train at the moment. Ball spills clear. Newman can't knock it forward. Walks through traffic. Got it to Cripps. Hand pass forward to Hewitt. Outside of the boots. Got it. Corey Durden under the Shane Warne stand. Carlton trying to have their go at attacking now. as he dances around the player on the mark, kicks towards 50. Harry Mackay comes out. 1, 2, got it. Finally a mark. Harry Mackay with a big kick, veers out to the left and steers it through.
Hand pass to Corey Durden, he's crunched by Broad. Floston wins at half back for Richmond. Hands it to Pickett, away to Baker, fumbles and then just sockers it forward twice. Got it to Shea Bolton, draws Doherty, hand pass to Graham, open forward 50, looks for Lynch, wrong foot's Young, runs into the open goal. Lynch has 3.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Half-time of the MCG for Thursday night footy. It's Richmond leading Carlton by 25 points, 7-6-48 to the Blues, 3-5-23. Tom Lynch with 3 goals for Richmond. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass calling the action. Mitch Cleary down the boundary. Adam Ramanaskas and Mark Murphy are your experts. As always, you can get in touch with us on the SMS 0437 774 774 as Terry in Thailand has done. Hope the Blues can overcome a big second half, enjoying it in 31 degrees temperature. That's far nicer than what we've got here at the MCG. Thanks from Grant in Hobart, getting in touch from us listening on the stream from Sydney. And a fair bit of correspondence around if the Nunes was a free kick one, then the one against Liam Baker for contact below the knees certainly should have been. We're probably all in agreement with that here. Live other sport taking place at the moment in the cricket, the second one-day international between Australia and Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka batting first, 4 for 108 in the 24th over. So Australia with a couple of changes to their side, but Glenn Maxwell into the attack at the moment. Pat Cummins with a couple of wickets, 2 for 20 from his 5 overs. And the teams have lobbed as well, so a massive 7 changes for the West Coast Eagles for their match against Geelong. All eyes, of course, to Friday night footy, the second annual Spuds match. So looking forward to seeing the Saints and the Bombers. Bombers have to break through at some stage, don't they? Hunter Clark returns, Billings, Burns and Wanganeen Miller for the Saints. For the Bombers, unfortunately, no Darcy Parish is out with a calf injury. Andy McGrath comes in, and we see their mid-season selection as well. So the second one for the weekend. So very exciting that we're going to see Massimo D'Ambrosio.
Nailed it. That's it.
I'm just going to have to say it a few times in between now and tomorrow night. But
Massimo D'Ambrosio. Yep. He's making his...
to seeing him make his debut.
Yeah. Along with Bryn Teakle, so you'll get to the Port Adelaide game, I'm sure. But that's... so what's that? Sam Durden tonight, D'Ambrosio tomorrow night, and then Teakle on Saturday. So we had the mid-season draft 15 days ago, and we're seeing 3 guys this weekend roll out for their team. So this is why it exists, and we're seeing it in action, less than 3 weeks later.
Yeah, might change your tip, Rama, for the Saturday match, Port Adelaide. I think it's about 900 games of experience with Travis Boak entering the health and safety protocol, Robbie Gray out with that knee injury, Steve Motlop's been omitted, and Trent Dumont out with a calf injury. So Teakle comes in to do the ruck work. Interested to see how he goes, and the Swans get back in. Lance Franklin, handy inclusion.
I think he's played 3 games for 3 different teams now, so he's playing for Fremantle in the WAFL. I think he was a member of their state game as well. They still play the WAFL versus the SANFL, or whoever the visiting team is, so they played the Sandford this year. He played in that, then he played for Fremantle, and he played for Port Adelaide Magpies, now he's playing for Port Adelaide Bowers. So he's had a few different jumpers on recently, Bryn Teakle, but good luck to him. A big man out of the WAFL in Perth, now playing AFL footy this weekend.
For the West Coast Eagles, Jones, McGovern, Sheed, Willie Rioli, Yo, Petricelli all come in. So the Cats get Sam Menegola, who we've been seeing so far in season 2022. Kolajasny as well for Rowan, who's out with illness, Parfitt, a hand injury, and Narkle the sub. And Gino Burst and the Bulldogs has a bit to like about it as well. So Braden Pruce comes in, Nick Haynes as well for the Giants. Perryman unfortunately out with that rib injury, DeBoer concussion, Steen and Sproul are out. And Jamara Ugelhagen comes back in for the Dogs alongside Josh Shackey.
A few more familiar names for the Eagles, Rama, than what we're used to.
Yeah, and a lot of them played last week as well in the Waffle, which was good. So I don't know if it's going to help, but geez, and it's been just a disaster every year for West Coast.
And Murph, the Giants-Dogs game, you got a confident tip there?
I don't have a confident tip, but yeah, the Giants are going to cause a few headaches on the run home, aren't they, for a lot of sides? And I just feel if they get over the line against the Bulldogs this weekend, that the Bulldogs are almost, I'm not calling them done, but it's going to be a hard road, isn't it? Because they've got a really tough final 6 or 7 games, don't they? The Bulldogs. So they need to win that one to give themselves a bit of a hope looking forward, because they've got probably one of the tougher runs, along with St Kilda, probably the run home.
And the AFL suspension came down for Bailey Smith. 2 games on top of his 2-game suspension. He still has to serve. Do you think that was the right decision, the 2-game suspension from the AFL?
I think judging by what's happened previously, it's probably the right call. Shane Mumford, I think, did he get 2 weeks?
Yep.
That was right. So I think the fact that Bailey came out and owned it and didn't try and shirk the issue and was honest about what occurred, and I think he handled that really well. So I think he got on the front foot and addressed it and almost basically put it to bed, didn't he? So it was quite well done from all involved, I thought.
It's been an interesting week for the AFL's integrity unit. So we had the fracas between Stephen May and Jake Melksham. The AFL integrity unit didn't get involved. A couple of days later decided they would, because according to quote Gillon McLaughlin, he said that there was further information which came to light. They looked into it. They decided the penalty that was handed out originally by the club and the leadership group is appropriate. It's amazing to think that, last year there was a fine for Shea Bolton and Dan Rioli, who got involved in a scuffle in a nightclub with members of the public. But if it's 2 AFL footballers punching on in public, essentially the outcome's okay, that there's no fine or no extra intervention from the AFL as a result of that. So they were happy with community service for both players and a game sanction against Stephen May, which was really for drinking while in the injury group. It wasn't for what happened out on the street.
So the lesson is that AFL players can have a biff between themselves and
sounds like it.
Get away with it.
It certainly seems like that.
It sets a strong precedent.
Tacit acknowledgement. One that sort of upsets a restaurant. The other one happens at a nightclub. And then obviously with the Bailey Smith outcome, as you said, Clinchy, 2 weeks, which sort of falls in line with the other set of these that we've seen.
It makes it hard for the Bulldogs. They're going to be missing one of their best players for 4 weeks. And as you mentioned, Murph, they're chasing the pack for the top 8 and last year's grand finalist, trying to rediscover their best footy without one of their most important players. And a fascinating sort of stage of the season with Melbourne, Brisbane and Freo all even. It feels like the season has completely opened up after feeling like it was relatively predictable for the first 10 weeks.
Yeah, well, a month ago we all probably thought it was just going to be Melbourne's year, wasn't it? And it was who was second, third best, really. But it just shows you how quickly things can turn. You have a few things go against you. Obviously, Stephen May being injured set it off, but then obviously getting in a blue just to double down on that to miss. He'll end up missing 3 weeks, won't he? So, it just shows you how quick things can change when you have a few players who miss through injury, or you lose a game that you probably should win, that I think everyone starts to look, well, they're not indestructible. You can get through them and you can beat them. So, and we're seeing that Fremantle have all of a sudden emerged as, right up there amongst everyone's thought of being a premiership contender, and who would have thought that at the start of the season? So it's a great year. And it's going to be a great finish to this season to see where teams sit and who plays in September, because Collingwood are doing everything right at the moment. It could be Collingwood, Carlton, or it could be in the first week of finals. Who knows what happens? So it's all set up for a really exciting back half of the season.
I'm sure we were talking on a Sunday before Max Gawn joined us about Melbourne's most important player, and we're going to look at the D's without Max Gawn for the next probably 3 weeks. Unfortunately, out with an ankle injury. Players are in position. The rain has resumed. Richmond leading by 25 points. Can Carlton muster a fight back in this second half? All the Tigers go on to record an important victory, which would have them back inside the AFL's top 8. Tigers 7-6-48 to Carlton 3-5-23. Both sides haven't required their medical subs as yet. Morris Rioli Jr. and Lockie Fogarty. Second half action about to get underway. Here's Colin Middlemass.
Forecast had 15% chance of rain. Well, it's rained for probably 80-90% of the night so far, as then Curvis wins the opening hit out of the second half. Down to Prestia, tumbles a kick down to half forward. Edwards knocks it on, short picks it up, runs straight into traffic. Tackled by Young, ball spits out towards Lambert. Hand pass back to centre half forward. The footy comes to Walsh, who just jams it on the boot up to the wing. Out to meet it is Silvani, trying to knock it forward for Carlton. Hewitt puts his head over it. Hand pass to DeConey. He went without it. Pack forms behind him. And we'll have a ball up as Graham finds himself on top of it. We'll have a ball up on the wing It's Richmond by 25 points.
Thrown up to Koning, wins down the tap to Cripps, can't get boot to ball. Nankervis pinches it, gets the hand pass to Short, sends Richmond towards the 50. Shea Bolton caught behind, punched into the middle of the ground by Plowman. Prestia trying to get it down to Graham. Walsh over the footy, spills out to Hewitt. Nunes' kick can't clear the traffic, and Short and Cripps battle for it. Stuck on the deck. Big Toby Nankervis picks it up, lost it. Hewitt squeezed the kick towards Charlie Kerner. He strips Grimes of the footy, it spills out. And Vlosten kicks into the middle of the ground. Sard slipped in front of Revolt. That's creative. A bit of Irish Gaelic footy as he worked it to Jack Martin.
So Martin in the front half. She kicks one as high as the grandstands. Inside the forward 50 at the drop. Kerner takes a chest mark. He lost Tarrant. And Tarrant was nowhere near him as the ball dropped. And Kerner able to hug it to his chest. 30 metres out, just left of centre.
It wasn't Tarrant. It was Grimes. Grimes just slipped. Yeah, just slipped at the last moment. Allowed Kerner to really take an uncontested mark inside forward 50.
Gotcha. Just looking at the replay, Tarrant leaving Mackay to try and make a play on it late and couldn't. Here's Kerner on the set shot. Again, he misses. Behind, they've missed a few at the city end of the ground out to the left, and Kerner
just poked at that one.
Does the same.
He tends to do that from 20 to 35 out, Charlie. Just when he's further out, he just goes back and just kicks it as far as he can. So he's start implementing that into his routine, I think.
Richmond by 24 points, brought into the pocket for Baker, who can drive Richmond up to the southern wing. Good kick looking for Clark. Sard got back to make a contest. Sam Durden gathers, hand pass to O'Brien, who steps over the line. And a boundary throw in. Have you seen the debut of Sam Durden for the Blues, Murph?
I think he's been really good. He's been really strong in some one-on-one contests and doing everything right. He's held his own, certainly at the start of this game.
Thrown back in. Nankervis wins down the tap against de Koning. Into the path of Prestia. Tackle by Cripps. Hand pass to McIntosh. Off balance as he kicks down the wing. Revolt shoved out of it by Sam Durden. And he'll take the free kick. Yep, he gave him the moz. He was out of position and panicked and pushed Jack Revolt right in the middle of the back.
Is our man Mitch Cleary still braving these conditions? I'm a little bit worried for him now.
We'll get down to him in just a moment as Revolt from the southern wing kicks down to half forward. Lynch the target. Spoil comes at the back from Young. Spills down to Hewitt. Hand pass to Walsh. Out of the defensive 50. Durden and Cripps collide with one another. That was Sam Durden. Bottom of the pack, Cripps. Plenty of players around the footy. Vlosten trying to charge through. It comes to Walsh. He kicks a high up and under down the line, and Broad takes the intercept mark. Gee, the rain is really sweeping in again. In fact, the mark wasn't completed.
Touched.
It was touched. There we go, on the way through. So we'll have a boundary throw in. Mitch is on the boundary. Mitch.
I'm down here, Ram. I just had to finish my jam donut at half time, so that took precedent.
Right.
I'm arrived, but just made it a little bit slower given the rain is still coming down really hard.
He is patrolling the boundary, not wanting to sit down, Mitch Cleary, and that's a smart move. Hewitt from the stoppage, hand pass to O'Brien, kicks up to Walsh. O'Brien socks it off the ground, put it out on the full in the end as he got a little bit of purchase on it, and it flew over the boundary line. Camden McIntosh to take it with the Tigers leading by 24 points. Such a reliable runner on the wing, does so much defensive work for Richmond. Short to Graham, who has it between wing and half forward on the southern side. Holds the footy in the air, gesturing he's going to drive it long in the Revolt and Nankervis direction. Spoiled down by Lewis Young from the back, got it down to Cripps, hand pass to Sard. Kicks off a step around his body up towards Charlie Kerner. Grimes got a fist in there to spoil it down. Graham over the footy, can't gather. He lays the tackle on Cottrell, spins him on the turf.
So you look at that ball going inside 50 there for Richmond. De Koning, the tallest Carlton player there, rather than trying to mark it, just spoil it. Just fist it 20 metres away.
Takani wins the head out from the restart, but Prestia onto it for Richmond. Sweeping hand pass in the middle of the ground for Edwards. Tackled, lost it. Nunes just tumbles a kick into open space on the wing. Silvani runs onto it. He's tackled from behind. Great work, Vlosten forces the turnover. Advantage applied as Dan Rioli kicks to half forward. Edwards takes the mark. He's 55 out. Edwards just pulls his kick and turns it over. Poor kick inside 50, and Newman takes the intercept mark, half back for Carlton.
Tigers by 24 points. Newman up to Silvani. He and Vlosten scrap once more. Rioli trying to get involved. Got him over the shoulder. And Carlton's number one has got the short sleeves on. As he wants to roll the dice, kicks into the middle. Cottrell takes the mark. Hand pass to Cripps, ran into a dead end. Pushed off Baker. Wants to get the forward hand pass out in front of Kennedy. Trying to jam it on the boot. He does that successfully. But Broad's back in defence. A 2-on-1 as Terrence spoils it down against Mackay. Getting back was Grimes as well. The Richmond defence standing tall. He links up with Baker. Hand pass to McIntosh in the right back pocket. Drives a kick up towards Shea Bolton. It bounces in front of him. Newman put his body on the line. Gathered for the Blues. Hand pass to Walsh. Turns back onto his right. Kicks inside 50. Durden against the couple. Broad punches it down to the 50. McIntosh slaps it on. And Lambert's out of defence.
Lambert kicks down the southern wing. Skidding through. Lynch takes the sprawling mark.
That's the difference, Murph. So Nathan Broad there could have flown for the mark, but just spoils it 20 metres. Straight to two Richmond players and they're away.
Rain continues to sweep across the MCG as Lynch heads down to half forward. Sam Durden spoils over the back, down to Clark. Hurried kick to centre half forward. Miss Prestia chase on. Silvani in one direction. Prestia gets there first. Hand pass to Vlosten. Inside the centre square for Richmond. Gives it to Short. Kicks inside to Shea Bolton, who leaps up and marks in front of Newman. 20 metres out directly in front for the Tigers.
They play a smart brand, Richmond. They get a mark, whether it's on the wing or the half-back flank, and it allows their numbers to get forward so they can kick to a contest and outnumber the next contest.
Hurriedly tries to snap at Goldwood and can't clear. The man back on the line in Doherty. Gee, that was an unusual move. Bolton rushed the kick, and in the end it results in a behind as Doherty juggles it over the goal line.
He's having some interesting moments in front of goals over the last couple of weeks.
Tigers by 25, 7 played in the third.
Doherty long out of defence. Up to half back. Nankervis tries to dribble a kick towards half forward. Cottrell for Carlton. Kicks up towards Jack Silvani. Just Charlie Kerner and Grimes inside the 50. Waits for players to stream pass. Chips it over the top to Sam Walsh. Kick smothered by Baker. Sliding on the turf like a slip and slide. Got it to Broad. Back to Gibcus. Run down. Walsh laid the tackle. Fisher can't pick it up cleanly. Now does. Gets the hand pass to Walsh. Cannons into Baker. So tough. The Richmond number 7. Hand pass to Broad. Kicks towards Lambert. But Boyd works him underneath. Takes the mark for Carlton.
He looks to centre half forward. Kennedy's all alone. Takes the mark. Kennedy kicks to honour of the lead of Kerner. Just got it to him. Over the fingertips of McIntosh. Plays on. Snaps it through. And Carlton have got the first of the second half. Charlie Kerner with his first of the night. And Richmond's lead cut to 19 yet again. Tigers 7-7-49. Carlton 4-6-30. 9 played third term. Mark Murphy and Adam Ramanauskas.
It was a great contest from Jordan Boyd down here on the near wing. Just a great one-on-one contest, and then just to have the vision to look inside by 30 metres and hit Matty Kennedy, who then in turn looked out the other side. That's where Charlie Kerner is going to be able to get that sort of separation when the ball is moving quickly and changing angles. So that's the way in which Charlie needs the ball coming in. He doesn't want it just coming in long and high. He needs it out in space, changing of angles, and that's exactly what they delivered there. And I think Charlie didn't want to go back and have a set shot from 30 out there. He just knew he needed to snap and get some more run in the football and kick through it and put it straight over the goal umpire's hat.
The voice of Mark Murphy. Here's Mitch Cleary.
Rama mentioned pre-game the role that Noah Bolter would play pinch hitting in the ruck. He's just played 49% of the game tonight.
Bolter to Cochin, long towards full forward. Lynch brought it down. Lambert couldn't get on the end of it. And Boyd with a clearing kick for Carlton, but only as far as McIntosh. He gathers it right half forward. Still 2 kicks from goal. Squares it up to Cochin. Was that 15? Cripps lays the tackle. Is that 50? It's neither. So Cochin will take the kick at right half forward. Back pedals. Drives a kick inside 50. Revolt flew. Couldn't take the mark. Good pick up from Edwards. Hand pass out to Lambert. Kicks about 20 metres. De Koning works it down in front of Bolter. Got it to Plowman, and then a fumble from Nick Newman. And it goes out of play in the right forward pocket. The Tigers deep in attack at the punt road end.
Had a set shot right in front. 20 metres out for Shea Bolton. He couldn't get it there, and the Blues go straight down the other end to make them pay. We got another stoppage inside forward 50 here from the boundary throw-in. First clean touch for Kennedy. Got a hand pass out to Sam Durden. Chucks it on his left boot down the wing. Carries the pack with Kerner involved, and at the back, Vlosten takes the intercept mark for Richmond.
I mentioned Richmond have been cleaner in that first half, but they've also set up better behind the ball.
Yeah.
It's just another example. They've lost and no opponent takes the intercept mark.
They've lost into half forward. Rewalt in the pack to Koning with the set. Neither of them come down with it. Spills to Cripps. Half back for Carlton. Hand pass dangerous to Ralph Smith. He's tackled, dispossessed. Boyd jams it on the boot. And Silvani diving forward marks at half back for Carlton. The Tigers by 19 points, 11 played in the third.
He's put himself into some good positions, I think, Jack, in this third quarter. Just 20 or 30 metres away from the ball. Quick kick out of stoppages or a rush ball. He's always in front playing the smart option.
A real heart and soul play for the Blues, but his kick is too wide for Charlie Kerner. He's a little bit slow to return the footy, and he's going to concede 50. So Dylan Grimes will be taken from the wing to half forward.
Didn't need to do it.
It's probably fair enough too.
Yeah.
He asked who the ball was going
exactly
to.
Who it's going
There's only one bloke there waiting for it.
Just trying to buy some time, but didn't do it all that well.
It's a short 50.
Short 50, absolutely.
So Grimes is still 2 kicks out from goal. Wants to go short to Jaden Short. He has it 60 metres out from home at the punt road end.
5 metres too far.
A raking kick. Just puts it towards the teeth of goal. Lynch up against a couple. Top to Koning, big fly. Always a threat in the air, and as he comes down with a good mark, as Tom Lynch is slowly getting to his feet. Short to Doherty in the right back pocket for the Blues.
Doherty comes out of the defensive 50, but turns it over. 50-metre drop punch straight to Tarrant.
Probably need that kick needs just to be boundary side.
Needs to be probably 5 or 10 metres towards the boundary, doesn't it? So they spoil it, goes out of bounds, get another stoppage.
Tarrant long kick back inside 50. Lynch hit the ground hard. Falls down to Young, his direct opponent, kicks out of the defensive 50. And Broad, along with Owies, Owies usher it over the boundary line. A throw in, 55 out from the Richmond goal.
He's done well to get up there, hasn't he?
There's not too many worse feelings where you lose your feet in the air. You know you're going to come down on your back or your backside, and it just hurts.
Hit the ground hard. Bolter from the boundary throwing. Won the hit out. There's a free kick for a hold. It's going to Matt Kennedy in the Blues. He had his jumper tugged in all of that at half-back. Tigers by 19.
Thankfully for Tom Lynch, he landed right in the middle of his back and his head didn't hit the turf. Kennedy works it forward to Fisher. Long kick towards Harry Mackay. Spoiled away by Tarrant. Over the footy short. Couldn't pick it up, so just hacks it into the middle of the ground. It works to Ralph Smith, who, if he hadn't have taken the mark, he would have got a free kick for too high against O'Brien. The Tigers are on the run. He kicks out to Lambert, southern wing. Lynch on a lead, ignores that. And then McIntosh is downed off the ball. Still Lambert hasn't moved. Now he drives a kick inside 50. Revolt's there. Shea Bolton as well. Spoiled to the front. McIntosh gets the hand pass away to Prestia. Hurries a kick inside 50. Boyd corrals the loose ball. Back to Sam Durden. Almost run down. Just got a kick away, but turn it over. Straight to Dan Rioli. And he may have got away with the kick as Tom Lynch was looming. But it was enough to put his kick off, and he kicked it straight in the chest of Dan Rioli.
Just got that arm in, Tom Lynch, just to apply enough pressure, just to push Durden off his kick slightly. Dan Rioli's set up in a good spot.
He's having a great season in his new role across half-back. Career best numbers of 19.6 disposals. He's hit a goal in each of the last 2 games. So a chance for a third in consecutive weeks here, and an important goal for the Tigers as Dan Rioli comes in, and a perfect finish straight into the Richmond cheer squad at the punt road end. And the Tigers immediately answer back out by 25 points. 8-7-55 to the Blues, 4-6-30. 14 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport.
It's been a few occasions now where the game's got within 3 goals, but they just haven't managed to try and bridge the gap to that 2-goal margin. And when you get it back out to 4 goals in these conditions, it's always tough work. And the inside 50s again, it's 14-4 in favour of Richmond in this third quarter. So
it's big numbers.
Yeah. Just by weighted numbers too, you can't compete with that. And
we're 14 minutes into the quarter, so they're going at an inside 50 per minute, the Tigers, at the moment. So it's just exhausting the Carlton defence. Like, they've only given up 1 goal, which is lucky, but gee.
Richmond by 25. Nankervis wins the hit out down to Walsh. Hand pass to Fisher. He's dispossessed in the tackle. There was a very late whistle. And it's going to come back. In fact, it's against Silvani, who got the ball after Fisher was dispossessed, and he too was tackled, lost it. Now the freeze forthcoming. Jack Graham to take it. Inside the centre square. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Lynch goes underneath it. Newman spills it at the back. Boyd there for Carlton. Hand pass to Fisher. Top of the defensive goal square. Gives it to Saad, who just runs it through for a rush behind.
How many bounces?
0 there. Richmond by 26. 15 played third quarter.
Saad to the back pocket for Sam Doherty. Works it up to Matt Kennedy. Signed a new contract extension after back-to-back one-year contracts. Works it up to Doherty, still left half back. On the Blues, most important ball users. The switches on if he wants to go for it. Instead, kicks long round the southern wing, looking for Martin. Cochin spoiled it late, brought it down to Clark. Fumble from Lambert, allowed the Blues to emerge with it. Boyd, hand pass to Silvani, missed Fisher. He races back after him in the middle of the MCG. Gathers it right half forward, trying to get back onto his right. Hand pass to Silvani, sidestep one, ran into Lambert. Hand pass to Kennedy, gets the hand pass to Nunes. He's tackled by Rioli, pinned the arm. Great tackle, holding the footy. That's the difference between the two sides. Pressure in the middle of the ground, and there's Dan Rioli in defence. Gets the hand pass away to Baker, kicks up to Pickett, who marks it left half back.
Just those little things.
Just trying to be too cute, aren't they?
Yeah.
Richmond by 26. Marlon Pickett, not sure about that. Bounces once before reaching Plowman on the wing. Carlton back with it. Hand pass to Jack Martin. Kicks into the corridor. Nunes attacks it. Hand pass off the turf to Kennedy. Links up with Owies. Hand pass to Fisher. Bumped as he kicks. The kick is offline. He misses to the left. 4-7 to 8-8. 17 played third term. Richmond by 25 points.
Broad looks at options to bring the ball back into play for the Tigers. Grimes puts the block on the mark, allows him to gain another 5 metres as Kerner's bumped off the footy. Long kick. Nat Curvis brings it down. Doherty gathers for the Blues. Chips a kick to Kennedy. Sliding down low. Takes the mark at left half forward. Bounds to his feet. Wants to move. Bursts away from McIntosh. Kicks towards Kerner. 2-on-1. Corey Dern runs onto it. Snaps it on the right. Beautiful. Textbook. Drumming from the small forward. And didn't Carlton need that? They answer back after the Rioli goal at the other end. It's back to 19 points. 8-8-56 the Tigers to Carlton 5-7-37. 17 minutes gone, third term. Here's Mark Murphy and Adam Ramanaskas.
It's just what they haven't got enough of tonight, where they've gone inside their forward 50, create a contest, get a small forward. Well, that wasn't to the front of the contest. The ball went over the back, but at least Durden was there.
Yeah.
I think that's what's most important. He was there with no opponent, so yeah, he absolutely should finish. So we need to see that's 7 inside 50s now to 15 in this quarter. They need to have just now a little period of real domination and try to attack the scoreboard, try to get it back to 2 goals. A goal and a half come three-quarter time.
6-2 the clearances in this quarter, Richmond's way.
It's the third time Carlton have been back within 19 points after falling 35 behind, but they haven't got closer than this. Back up Ramos Point. The Blues need the next one. There's a free kick for a hold, I think, in the middle of the ground. It's going Cripps' way, and he's 150th. Goes along to the top of the goal square. Kerner hits the deck. No whistle on that. Punched away by the Tigers. Half forward for Carlton. This is Hewitt, hand pass away to Martin, 60 from home, kicks to the hot spot to Koning, entering in from the side of the pack and rips it down in front of 5 or 6 bodies. And Tom de Koning can shoot from 25 out, just right of centre.
Good mark. That's what you want, your big ruckman. Just float forward. Make Nankervis accountable.
That's where he can really get Nankervis, is just on the spread, getting hard forward because he's so good and his leap's just so big.
De Koning moves in, the set shot misses. Gee, they've missed some set shots tonight. And some gettable ones at that. He couldn't back up the towering pack mark. Richmond's lead cut to 18 points as we approach time on in the third.
The Blues with 2-3 in this third quarter. To Tigers 1-2. Rioli runs out of defence to the right back pocket, kicks up towards Lynch, up at full stretch, couldn't take the mark. De Koning works it back to Saad, to Doherty, stripped of it. Here go the Tigers through Prestia. Hand pass to Ralph Smith, runs away from Saad. Hand pass missed Lynch, now run into Saad. Great tackle from Saad. The Tigers are out. And he might deserve a bounce here, but he's going to go short, boundary side, and works it over the top to Doherty.
Carlton from the set shot, 2 goals, 4 so far tonight. They've been gettable ones as well. Nunes missed one, Walsh missed one. You can add De Koning's name to that list. There's Doherty here on the wing. Goes long inside the forward 50. Slips out the back of the pack to short of the Tigers. Hand pass to Cochrane. Links up with Dan Rioli and spears it along the boundary line to Prestia. Saw some numbers during the week. They're about a 14% better team when he plays than when he doesn't. Dion Prestia, since joining the club in their premiership year in 2017. Long kick down the line. Spills down to Lambert. Hand pass over his shoulder to Doherty. He's tackled over the shoulder. Pinned holding the ball, said the umpire.
And I say he ducked into it.
Free kick for Ralph Smith. And the second. Thoughts on the decision?
Yeah, probably wrong.
Smith down to a Bolter with a huge sit on the shoulders of Young. Can't complete the mark. Cochrane links up with Lynch. Away to Baker. Sharp angle. He misses near side. Gee, it would have been a superb finish. Akamanis-like with the drop punt. Right peg up against the fence.
Oh, the quick bring in by O'Brien, who turns it over looking for Jack Martin. And here's Judson Clark.
Left footer. Tough kick.
The boy from the Dandenong Stingrays who kicked 2 goals in his first 2 kicks. Mitch Cleary caught up with his dad. They were going to the Richmond pub nearby straight after the game. It was a debut to remember. He might be still there, Mitch. They might be going there again after tonight. Can he nail this? Tough shot deep in the left forward pocket. No, he can't. It's near side all the way and just scrapes in the end for a minor score. 20 points. Richmond's lead at the 22-minute mark of the third term.
Oh, dangerous kick out in the end. Doherty got it to his intended target. Marks it half back by Nunes. Kicks to centre half back. Here's Adam Saad. There's bounce number 9 for the night. Hand pass away to Doherty. Links up with Fisher alongside the centre circles. The Blues on the counter attack inside 50. Cripps looking over his shoulder. Can't complete the mark. Falls to Kerner. Sweeping hand pass. Wanted to get it to Walsh. Comes back to Kerner. Walsh gets a touch eventually. Hand pass to Nunes. High bomb into the pocket. There's Paddy Cripps. Can't complete the mark. Spills it at the last moment. And Nankervis on the last line of defence for Richmond.
Drives a long kick to a 1-on-1. Boyd in a wrestle with Judson Clark. Clark brought it to the front. Hewitt there for the Blues. Got in there. Hand pass to O'Brien. A worm burner. Dribbles inside 50. Rioli deals with that for the Tigers. Hand pass to Vlosten. Works it to Pickett. Left half back. Not a lot of options. Tries to put it out in front of Vlosten. Boyd takes it for the Blues. Back inside 50. Up goes to Koning. It gets to the back. Jack Martin breaks the Cochrane tackle. Into the goal mouth. Puts it into the third tier. Carlton close the gap once more. The Blues with 3 goals to 1 in this third term. And it's as close as they've been since the opening term. Carlton 6-8-44 to the Tigers 8-10-58. It's a 14-point ball game at the 23-minute mark of the third term.
The inside 50s were 14-4 not long ago in this quarter. Now it's 16-13. So they're putting the now Carlton are putting the pressure.
Was the elbow high? The fend off from
doesn't matter.
Jack Martin into the face? Doesn't matter.
It's a goal. Doesn't matter now, does it? But like credit to Jack Martin, could have gone for a handball over the top to Cripper, but decided to take on the hit. And you could probably say the same thing about Doherty on the far wing earlier. He sort of dropped a little bit, but didn't get the high. Cochrane came in then and sort of slipped and got the high one, but wasn't paid.
14 points the margin now. It was Richmond by 35 in the second term. Carlton get the centre break out to the wing. Socket away by Edwards though. Still a live footy. Nankervis keeps knocking it on, but in the wrong direction. Comes out to Edwards a second time. Tumbles a kick down the wing. De Koning jumps on top of it. Knocks the footy out to Walsh. He looks to half forward. Corey Durden and Gibcus race out after it. And Gibcus just knocks it out of play. Under a little bit of pressure from Durden, and we'll have a boundary throw in. 60 out from the Carlton goal. This isn't usually the Blues jam. They're a bottom 6 third quarter team in the comp. Usually they fall asleep after half time. Having won just 4 for the season, they're winning the third term here. From the throw in, De Koning down to Cottrell. Hand pass to Cripps. Hooks a kick to centre half forward. Clean bowls. Martin comes to Vlosten. Vlosten shoots a hand pass into the middle. Lambert just punches it forward for Richmond.
Only as far as Doherty, it's coming back. Martin's ragdoll Vlosten in frustration and given away the free kick before the footy had even arrived. Then by the front of the jumper and dragged him down. An easy one for the umpire. Richmond by 14 points. Vorsten's kick set Clark a challenge. In fact, it's Rioli who's able to slide along the turf and claim the mark. Off balance, was able to hang on to it. Dan Rioli at left half back. Gets a goal in this third term. Richmond's only one. Into the middle of the ground, asked Lambert for flying. And in the end, Doherty held his ground in front and took the mark for the Blues.
He's been great in this third quarter, hasn't he? Sam Doherty, just
Possession
intercepting
number
everything.
11.
Wants to try and give it the full penetration as he drives the kick inside 50. Gibcus got a hand to it. Spoils it down. Short just sockets it off the ground. Spots out Lambert. Rather fortunate rather than intended. He takes the mark at left half back.
Lambert short to Rewalt. Marks defensive side of the wing. Lays a hand pass off to Jaden Short. Short loads up, kicks to Lynch, one out in the cage with Young. Young does well, spoils. Comes down to Judson Clark, hand pass to centre half forward. Baker slick, got it away by hand to Graham. Hooks a kick to the goal line, but back is Plowman. Takes the intercept mark in front of the behind post for Carlton. 14 points, Richmond's lead, 26.5 played third term.
Kicks towards Kennedy, can't keep it alive as he has Marlon Pickett there with him. Out of play for a throw-in.
Of course, last time they met, Richmond led by 15 points at three-quarter time before the Blues came rattling home in that final term, kicking 7 goals to run down the Tigers.
Thrown back into play, half forward for the Tigers. Now Curvis got rid of DeConing. DeConing was able to smother the kick though. Ricochets out to Cripps, sockers it towards the boundary line.
Oh no.
The umpire's going to pay insufficient intent. It's stopped raining now. It's still partially raining, but that's a tough call. The Tigers quickly take it, trying to get it forward to Prestia. I think Cripps is going to get a square up. He was taken high here. I think in the end he made contact with his own teammate. Maybe Prestia gave a little shove as Walsh got him high. Tigers by 14.
Comes the 80th Carlton player tonight to 150 games, Paddy Cripps. As the siren sounds, he sends a torp down the wing, and it's on as well. A bit of push and shove. And they run from every corner of the MCG to get involved in a melee. And Carlton and Richmond, Jaden Short steps in between Cripps and Prestia, and Prestia was standing to mark after giving away the free, and Paddy Cripps wasn't having any of that. And there's 2 lots of push and shove going on. They're separated into separate groups, and the umpires are really helpless in this situation, and some fines upcoming, I'm sure, for a bunch of players involved in this fracas.
Do you get fined once you hit the ground when you're in a melee? So it's important to keep your feet for all those listening. So what we always got told that if you do get in a little bit of a melee, keep your feet, because the moment you go to ground, that's the moment you get fined. I'm not sure if it's the same or not.
It's actually good for both teams, this. I think Carlton have got some momentum, so keeps the fire in their belly going, but also Richmond were losing that momentum at the end of that third quarter, so that gets a bit of fire into their belly. Now you can hear the crowd starting to lift, so the emotion come the first 5 minutes of this last quarter has got to be high.
The stage couldn't be any better set. Richmond by 14 points at three-quarter time. They're still at it, being separated, the two teams, with the jumpers being pulled. It was Richmond by 16 at quarter time, by 25 at the half, and now at three-quarter time, Richmond by just 14. They did lead the game by as many as 35 points midway through the second quarter, and from that point on, Carlton have managed to kick 6 of the last 8 goals in the game. Tom Lynch has 3. They all came before half-time, 1 each for Rewalt, Rioli, Bolton and Pickett. Meanwhile, for Carlton, you've got 1 each down the page for O'Brien, Mackay, Corey Durden, Jack Martin, Hewitt and Kerner.
What a final quarter we're in stall for. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
For 90 years, the ABC has been a part of our lives.
So, we've got a massive party planned.
Happy birthday, ABC.
Join us for a special 2-hour live television event.
To look back over 90 incredible years.
Digging deep into the ABC archives.
With cast reunions, live performances from some of Australia's biggest acts, and lots more.
Happy birthday, ABC.
ABC 90 Celebrate. Live.
Thursday night, the 30th of June on ABC TV and ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
He looks to centre half forward. Kennedy's all alone. takes the mark. Kennedy kicks to honour of the lead of Kerner. Just got it to him over the fingertips of McIntosh. Plays on, snaps it through, and Carlton have got the first of the second half.
Doherty gathers for the Blues, chips a kick to Kennedy, sliding down low, takes the mark at left half forward, bounds to his feet, wants to move, bursts away from McIntosh, kicks towards Kerner, 2-on-1, Corey Dern runs onto it, snaps it on the right, beautiful, textbook, Crumming from the small forward. Boyd takes it for the Blues, back inside 50, up goes to Coney, it gets to the back, Jack Martin breaks the Cochin tackle, into the goal mouth, puts it into the third tier.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Three-quarter time of the MCG. The Tigers lead by 14 points, 8-10-58 to the Blues, 6-8-44. It's all happening here at the MCG. Even the three-quarter time entertainment, the band running against the electronic signage around the ground has done a hamstring, so he is in pain, but we are in amusement. Richmond led by 16 points at quarter time, by 25 at half time. But the Blues with 3 goals, 3 to the Tigers 1-4, sees the margin back to 14 points at three-quarter time. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass call the action. Mitch Cleary down the boundary. The thoughts of Adam Romanascus and Martin Murphy as to how we've ended up at this stage.
Well, we probably shouldn't laugh, should we, at someone probably doing the hamstring, but it was always one of those things when you used to have these train with the team events with sponsors back when I used to play, and there'd always be these guys who probably hadn't pulled the boots on for 5 or 10 years and get a bit excited by the balls coming out, and someone does a hamstring or a big quad, or I saw someone do a knee, unfortunately, one night, so they're never a good tale. But anyway, it's all set up for a big last quarter, isn't it? We spoke about Carlton not being able to get back within those that 2-goal sort of margins, 14 points here, so it's all set up for a ripper here in the last. But it was a tale of two halves in that third quarter. Richmond were just absolutely dominating the clearances, getting the ball forward. I think they were 14 inside 50s to 4 at one point. And Carlton managed to equal that the back half of that third quarter. So Sam Doherty was fantastic along the half-back line for Carlton. He just kept on intercepting the ball and getting the ball back inside 50 for Carlton. It's dry now. It is going to be slippery, but I think when the ball, especially when it hasn't been raining for a little bit now, it starts to get a little bit stickier. So that'll suit a few of the big key forwards that Carlton have got down there who probably haven't really been involved too much throughout tonight. So it's set up for a ripper.
Damien Hardwick was talking to his coaches a lot at that three-quarter time break, looking at the board, getting the matchups right. Murph mentioned Sam Doherty in that third quarter. He had 11 possessions, 9 kicks, 2 handballs, 371 metres gained in that quarter alone. So I think that'll be, because what Carlton are doing is they're bringing Doherty around. They're bringing one of the wingers around and then allowing Doherty to be the spare. So a number of times in that quarter, Doherty either marked it or was able to intercept the ball, take the ball forward. So I think that will be the concern for Damien Hardwick. The concern for Michael Voss and his coaches is, how do you get Harry Mackay and Charlie Kerner enough looks in this last quarter? I think that becomes really, really important. Kerner looked promising, looked dangerous, or dangerous-er in that third quarter. But again, Mackay was out of it. Didn't even touch the ball at all. Yeah. Didn't go near it in that third quarter. So they've got to give those two big boys a good look. Tarrant's done a good job on Mackay, and I think Grimes has done a pretty good job on Kerner. But can those two boys open up the game for Carlton in this last quarter?
Well, it hasn't been Harry's night whatsoever, but he's 200 centimetres and
can be a moment.
And he's one of these guys who would know that, and he prides himself on the big moments.
We're set for a big final term here on ABC Sport. Thrown up in the middle of the MCG. Nankervis wins down the tap. Shea Bolton overruns it. Fisher just fires a hand pass forward, but only as far as McIntosh for the Tigers. From half back, he kicks to half forward. Coming out young, pushed off it by Tom Lynch. And it rolls out of play.
Just looks like... No, I thought Jack Graham was going to Doherty, but Graham's come back to the contest and they're just going to allow Doherty to be free inside Richmond's forward 50.
Who settles first after the dust up on three-quarter time. De Koning wins down the tap through the hands of Cripps and it goes out of play. And a boundary throw in 50 metres out from the Tigers goal at the city end in this final term.
Looks like they're just going to back in Bolter and Lynch to be able to create that
contest,
2-on-1 contest to try and bring the ball to ground.
Despite being 7-5, Richmond have trailed only twice at three-quarter time all year. Again, they turn in front, up by 14 points from the boundary throw-in. Comes down to Hewitt. He wants to take on the tackle. Got a hand pass out. Baker sharks it. Kicks along the boundary line. Inside 50. It bounces out of play. Appeals from O'Brien and Doherty ignored.
Come on.
A boundary throw-in 30 out from the Richmond goal. Tigers coming home to the city end. Richmond by 14, having led by as many as 35. Nankervis grabs it out of the ruck, kicks back to the corridor. Bolter reaching for it, can't complete the mark, falls to Lambert. Almost mowed down, got a hand pass out. Always there for Carlton. Trickles a kick to centre half back. Pick it over and he's bowled over by Corey Durden. Loose footy in the centre square. Fisher clever. Knocks it to O'Brien. Hand pass to Corey Durden.
Tucked the footy under his arm, got away from the tackle of McIntosh. Kicks to a 2-on-1 inside 50. It clean bowls them all. Mackay, Broad and Tarrant are able to gather and combine. And Broad was taken high. It might come back because Foster wasn't all that intent on taking the advantage. Didn't see the contact. Is there anything there? No, not a lot.
No. Play on.
So Nathan Broad will have it 25 metres out from his defensive goal at the city end of the MCG. Richmond by 14 points. They've led all night. Kicks up towards Bolter. Decoding in from the side. Got up early. Cochin brings it down, got it to McIntosh. High spiralling kick towards Revolt. A 2-on-1. The way of the Blues. Sam Durden gathers. Hand pass to Doherty. Kicks out to the southern wing. Race after that. Cottrell does that. Pickett after him. How will it sit? Not all that good for Cottrell. Pickett slides in. Now Cottrell over the top of him. Cottrell eventually wins it. The reinforcements arrive. Hand pass to Kennedy. Kicks towards Silvani. Got an awkward bounce. Broad gathers. Hand pass to Vlosten. Has to get around Owies. Feeds it back to Broad. Off balance. Kicks it up and under kick. Around the southern wing. Baker underneath it. Through the hands of Kennedy. And Doherty will reload.
Doherty just pumps it down to half forward for the Blues. Gibcus at the drop. Spills the mark. Kerner as he's being tackled. Kicks inside 50. Mackay knocks it on. There's no one out the back. And McIntosh, first one there for Richmond to collect. Kicks out to Lambert, who marks just over the head of O'Brien. Richmond retained possession, back flank. Lambert kicks to a 1-on-1 on the wing. Bolter reaches up, can't mark. Cochin out the back, rides the bump hard from Sam Durden. Goes back in, collects the footy, the Carlton defender. Hand pass to Hewitt, away to O'Brien, look away, hand pass, a turnover. Bolter for Richmond to Lambert, he links up with Baker.
Beautiful hand pass as he kicks down low for Lynch, trying to gather. Shea Bolton cruising through. He might run into the open goal.
No,
shows the footy to Doherty and slams it through. Shea Bolton with his second. But he might be tempting fate if he's going to do those tricks running into the open goal, especially given the last couple of weeks where he's failed to make his opportunities count. The Tigers with the first goal of the final term to stretch it to a 20-point advantage. 9-10-64 to the Blues, 6-8-44. What do you think of that, showing the footy to your opposition?
No. Well, yeah, I don't like it. I like him as a player. I think he's better than that, but everyone's just seen it on the big screen now and getting a warming applause from the Richmond fans. But, yeah, you don't like to say that, I don't think.
Well, that's karma will get you in the end. You don't want to do that.
And this one from the goal scorer last week at the other end, Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Just some context to that Shea Bolton incident. He actually was the last player having words with Sam Doherty, that three-quarter time melee. So I reckon it might have been some words exchanged at the final break that led to that moment.
Thanks, Massai. Not much gets past Mitch on the boundary as the Tigers get it forward again. Graham kicks to the hot spot. Young spills the mark. Lynch to Bolton to do it again. It's knocked through. Oh, in fact, Sam Durden knocked it into the goal umpire. Ricochets back into play and Baker sockers it through. Gee, we're going up to the arc here as Sam Durden went to kill it through for a rush behind and punched it into the goalie. And off the umpire, it's come back into play.
And he's in play.
And Baker's kicked it through.
I don't know what the ruling is here because the umpire, it's hit the umpire on the left leg. Now, the umpire's left leg is inside the play.
Yeah, it would have gone through, though. It's got to be behind.
It's got to be.
We're all uncertain, weren't we?
Yeah.
I've seen a game of footy where that's happened It's hit the goal umpire, ricocheted back into play. Players picked up the ball and kicked a goal, and it stood.
Maybe that's a field umpire that's playing
No, it was the goal umpire.
Yeah, okay.
Was that back in Perth? Where was that?
It was in a waffle game. It was Corey DeLulio, actually, was the player who obviously went on to play for Essendon.
Bit different in Perth.
Right on to it, Murph. Here's that Jack Silvani, hand pass to Boyd, run down by Shea Bolton. He's in everything at the moment. Spills out to Prestia, kicks towards Bolter at half forward. 1-2, couldn't take it on the third bite. Pick it over the top of the footy, and now Shea Bolton trying to rip it clear. Sliding in his Cripps. The footy's not coming out, and the umpire will have to toss it in the air. 60 metres out from the Tigers' goal. It's been a heated last 5 or 10 minutes, it must be said.
Richmond by 21. They get the first goal of the final term as DeConey wins it down and then wins a hand pass away to Cottrell. Hooks his kick down the wing. Silvani and Vlosten in a tangle as they have been for most of the night, and Vlosten kills it out of play.
It's getting interesting now for Carlton. You assume Richmond would get one more at least in this quarter, so that means Carlton have to kick 5.
Shea Bolton running into the open goal moments ago, showing the footy, hanging it back out to Sam Doherty, who was chasing him. Just said, check out my tail lights, as he ran into the goal and popped it through. The first of his final term, Tigers by 21 for the boundary throwing. Nankervis, hand pass away to Prestia, gives it to Pickett, heads down to half forward, Lynch the target, slips through to Noah Bolter, paddles it along the boundary line, he keeps it in play, he pulls up, Plowman grabs it for Carlton, he's dispossessed by Rewalt, he's caught. Free kick, Jack against the boundary line. And Plowman went to take on Rewalt and lost.
Just had to hold the ball in there.
It was a good tackle. Yeah. He wouldn't have been pinged if he couldn't get rid of it, because he did drop the ball. Obviously, it's holding the ball. It's cool.
Jack hospitalised after an infection in that finger. Still got the glove on. Drops it on his boot. Bends it back with perfection. They'll be tough to catch, the Tigers. Out by 27. 8 minutes into the final term. Jack with his second of the night. The Tigers 10-11-71. Carlton 6-8-44. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Noah Bolter has limped off to the bench with a right ankle concern, in the hands of doctors right now. Maurice Rioli back row of the bench, looking on intently. He's taking the tracksuit pants, and I reckon we might be looking at a sub here for the Tigers.
Just can't. Look, it's a terrific tackle by Jack. He's a genius at this snapshot. We've seen now for so many years he's been able to do that. But Carlton, 6 inside 50 to 2 to start this quarter. You know, Richmond 27 possessions to 10. Just you wanted more from Carlton to start this quarter. Now they're going to have to kick 5 without Richmond kicking a goal for the remainder of this quarter to win.
They were surging heading into three-quarter time. They got within 14 points. Now the Tigers with the first 2 of the final term. At the back edge of the centre square, Kennedy, hand pass down low for Walsh, sliding in. He's in trouble as Graham lays the tackle. Didn't have much opportunity to get rid of it. But over the footy, and the umpire was pretty keen to blow the whistle. Jack Graham, who's thrived in these conditions, sends a high ball inside 50. Revolt at the back, brought it down to the front. Pickett tries to knock it onto Baker, lost his footing. Doherty slapped away from him by Revolt into the right forward pocket. Boyd wants the line, and he does well to get it across. And a little shove from Judson Clark. A throw in the right forward pocket for the Tides. Noah Bolter was as he was trying to soccer it along the boundary line in the left forward pocket, so not sure if that's
subs being made.
Tight hamstring, but we'll go down to Mitch in a second's also his time.
30 out from the Richmond goal. The boundary ump spins it in. Both rucks share it. Spills down to Sam Durden. He overruns it. And then Curvis had it. Tackled by Durden. Lost it. Rewalt grabs it. Shoots goalward. It bounces on the behind line. Lambert clever. Hooks it back to a dangerous spot. Top of the defensive goal square. Young hurried kick to half back. Here's Shea Bolton. Paddles it out in front of Ralph Smith. Shea has another go at it. He's knocked off the footy. Doherty wins that one. Sockers it up to Mackay. Punches it back to Owies. Missed him. Richmond with the numbers short. Got it to Tarrant. Hand pass to Edwards. Away to Ralph Smith in the middle of the ground. Hooks a kick to centre half forward. Comes to DeConing. He's tackled by Lambert. Rewalt picks it up. Rewalt bends his snap back to the goal square, and Louis Young just punches it through for a rush behind. Tigers by 28 points. Mitch on the boundary.
Yeah, just some more clarity on that injury to Noah Bolter. It is a hamstring injury, so he wasn't able to put any weight on his right leg, but it looks like it is a right hamstring. He has had a number of soft tissue injuries, so not a good timing for the Richmond key position player.
Thanks, Mitch. Newman into Nunes, up to Kennedy. Carlton trying to quickly transition it to right half forward. Corey Durden has it. Spots up Charlie Kerner. He plays on right on 50. Has he got the leg? It's offline to the right. And through for a minor score.
Well, that's a daring ball use that they're going to have to maintain this last 20 minutes if they're any chance.
27 points. Richmond's lead.
Broad from the kick out, turns it over as Sard comes to meet it, takes an intercept mark, 70 out. Hand pass to O'Brien, looks for Mackay. And Harry takes a strong mark. 45-degree angle, he'll kick from 20 out. Mitch Cleary on the boundary. Mitch, any official word?
No official word on the exact severity of the injury, but it does look like a right hamstring for Noah Bolter. He's back row of the bench. Maurice Rioli Jr. officially into the game.
And number 49 jogs on in front of us. Mackay, a non-negotiable. Dobs it. Carlton's still alive. 12-minute mark, final term. Mackay with his second. Richmond's lead cut to 21. The Tigs at 10-12-72. The Blue Baggers 7-9-51. Grandstand AFL, Mark Murphy and Adam Ramanauskas.
It was created by Adam Saar coming off the bench to intercept that ball there. And then just, you're right, Murph. I think now it's a little bit of caution to the wind for the Blues.
It's the half-backs are going to come hard off the centre square bounce here.
Yeah.
So Doherty, Sard, you'd think would be running straight in, trying to get handball receives, trying to impact the play, because if they get into a contest-style game, which obviously Richmond love, it's going to be really hard for them to score. So it's really crucial they can get on their bike, off the half-back line and running forward.
Silvani and Revolt in the ruck. Comes down the way of Prestia, tackled by Silvani, no whistle. Kennedy over the footy to Cripps. He's tackled immediately by Revolt. Spills out. Edwards kicks it away. And it's a Carlton free kick coming back to Patrick Cripps. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Now an injury on the Carlton bench. Sam Durden getting treatment on his left knee. The magic sprays come out, Murph, from those Carlton medicos.
Thanks, Mitch. Cripps waits his hand pass to Boyd, who returned the footy, kicks it inside 50. A textbook play. Out to Harry Mackay on the lead, who marks hard in the boundary. A tight angle. Only about 35 metres out.
It's a banana every day of the week here from Harry. He loves him from this spot.
Kicked the last goal, has 2 for the match. To breathe life into this contest, Harry Mackay goes the banana, kicks it successfully. Here come the Blues. 2 goals in 2 minutes, and it's back to a 15-point ball game. Richmond 10-12-72 to Carlton 8-9-57. Harry with his third.
That's a good call, Bert.
It's nice when it goes your way sometimes, Roman, because in previous weeks, I don't reckon I've got one right by calling blokes from the boundary line, but he does practice them quite often. He's great, obviously, with the snap, but that side of the ground, that pocket, there's no other option other than to go for the banana. It was a perfect sort of 30-35 metres out from goal, and Harry practices them all the time.
I love that from Cripper, though. Cripps wins the free kick, then Boyd flying off half-back. Just to get that overlap running,
gets an extra 5 or 10 metres, doesn't it, to get a bit deeper in.
Back in the middle, Richmond by 15 points. Carlton with some go forward. Kennedy hand pass to Walsh. Kicks to centre half forward. Kipkes puts his fist through it. The Richmond defender sliding in is Fisher, scrapping forward on the deck. Pack forms around him. The umpire lets them roll. Still going. Eventually says, I'll have it. 60 out from the Carlton goal. Mitch.
Strapping put onto that left knee for Sam Durden. They're going to have a go at getting him back on the ground.
15 points, Richmond lead from the ball up. Prestia, hand pass to Cochin. Kicks a high bomb down the southern wing. Scrapping for it, Lynch and Young. Young punches it out wide. Still plenty of room before the boundary line, though. Edwards and Newman there. Newman got it for Carlton, away to Boyd. Hot hand pass to Nunes, but they're through. Away to Newman. He can link up now with Hewitt.
Kicks towards Harry Mackay, 2-on-1. Harry almost with one arm, pulled it in. Couldn't take the mark. The Tigers with the numbers. Revolt into the ruck in this final term. Hand pass to Broad. Kicks up towards Lynch, a 2-on-1. Lewis Young crashed the pack. It rolls out of play with 2 Blues on the deck. Now we're happy to see the ball out of play.
So there's still enough time where they don't need to rush themselves yet, but they've kicked the last 2 in quick time, so there's no panic stations so far to say that you just need to just rush it all the time at the moment, so they just need to play it smart still, Carlton.
So in the Kervis and De Koning having a breather, it's Jack Silvani and Revolt doing the ruck work. It's volleyed forward by the Blues. Doherty got it to half forward. Fisher slipped over, gets the hand pass now to Cottrell. Drives the kick inside 50. Tigers have the numbers. Gibcus punches it towards the boundary. Martin keeps it alive. Hand pass to Harry. He's got his fourth. And the last 3 goals of the match. The Blues are within single digits. It's a 9-point Richmond lead, which is very quickly evaporating. The Tigers 10-12-72 to Carlton 9-9-63. And all of a sudden the Richmond defence is looking rickety.
Well, no, that was a terrible spoil by the first-year player in Gibcus. That needed to be killed out of bounds. It just allowed Jack Martin to win that crumb, give an easy handball and a goal. But Murph's right, there's still plenty of time, but you've got to encourage run. Yeah. And I think this last little period, that's what Carlton have done. A couple of little handballs to encourage the run, encourage the flow of the game.
They've started to outnumber the contest, haven't they? And they've started to really get on their bikes from stoppages and get to the next contest and just keep on working and grinding them into the ground.
Mackay with 3 goals in 4 minutes, and all of a sudden it's game on. Richmond by 9 points. Free kick in the middle. It's going Carlton's way. Kennedy taken high alongside the centre circles. Kicks to the hot spot. In the pack is Mackay. Comes down with it. Hand pass to Hewitt. He got it out to Kerner. Kicks across the half-forward line, and O'Brien marks. 48 metres out from goal.
Oh, kick it to him. Give it to him.
He's got Boyd screaming for it out wide. Ignores that. How does he go from here, Murph?
I reckon he goes pretty well. Going to his left, he'll get a bit of the arc going, so obviously the man on the mark can't move. We'll get an extra couple of metres.
Looking 52 metres out. He runs out to his preferred left side, hooks the kick across the goal face, spills down to Nunes. Jack Nunes hooks it through. Carlton with their ends up. And Jack Nunes again in the biggest of moments delivers. Richmond by 3 points. Carlton are coming. 10-9 to 10-12. Tigers lead cut to 3. 18 played, final term.
Richmond look pretty confident. There's a touch on this. Nathan Broad ran to the goal umpire and just implored him to go upstairs and have a look. So I'm not sure if they're going upstairs at the moment.
Of course, they can review as the ball makes its way back to the middle. They do so normally after most goals anyway.
Broad was straight away. Yeah, it's touched.
So it's got the potential to deny the Blues a 4th goal in 6 minutes, and the confirmation for the umpire in the middle of the ground that the score review has taken place, and it might be the difference between the Blues being within a kick and being within 2 scores. And the behind is given.
That would have been 4 goals in 6 minutes to the Blues.
The one thing that can't be denied is Carlton are coming. Mitch Cleary.
We've got an injury on the Carlton bench. Jack Martin set to be subbed out of the game. Lockie Fogarty's got the tracksuit on. There's all mayhem down here.
Thanks, Mitch. Boston long out of defence through the hands of Tom Lynch. Now Kervis kicks into the middle of the crowd. Knocked on cleverly by Edwards. Shea Bolton tries to get after it. He and Doherty collide. Doherty went to ground. Bolton over the top. Morris Rioli Jr. the sub into the action. Veering out, trying to centre it. He does get it to Edwards. Edwards off a step. Puts it through. End-to-end footy from the Tigers. An interesting decision from Morris Rioli Jr. to centre rather than go himself, but it ends in smiles. And Richmond get the answer they desperately needed after the goal was denied at the other end. Tigers back out by 14 points. What a roller coaster match. 11-12-78 to the Blues, 9-10-64.
Well, you've got to wonder whether that just takes all the wind out of the sails, doesn't it, of
It's
Carlton?
a cruel
because
game.
it just goes from being a 3-point game to all of a sudden now staring down the barrel of a 14-point deficit as Sam Durden gets to the boundary line, still hobbling with that left knee. So
Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
So I just want to clarify that. Jack Martin was getting his right knee tested as that was all happening. Looks like he's still in the game, so he won't be subbed out. The sub was actually being made with Durden coming straight off. That left knee no good. Fogarty into the game, so Jack Martin's still in the game.
And Durden subbed out on his club debut. Thanks, Mitch. Richmond by 14. Short kicks down to half forward.
Yes.
Doherty Courageous. Never took his eye off it. Running back with the flight. Takes the mark at half back for Carlton.
Great courage.
What a warrior.
He's had another outstanding game.
As he kicks down the wing and McIntosh leaps in front of a few to take the intercept mark for Richmond.
Still lots of time in this game. 8.5 minutes still remaining, so plenty of time for the Blues.
Tigers by 14 points. McIntosh long 60-metre drop punt out to half forward, but again it's Doherty. Another intercept mark, and the Blues want to go. Hand pass to Walsh. Shea Bolton almost got him. Gives it to Krebs under pressure. Back to Walsh. Just jams it on the boot out of defensive 50. Corey Durden puts his body on the line. DeConey rather. Hand pass back into traffic. Oh, he squeezed the kick out to the southern wing.
Rioli can't take it, but Boston slides in. Gets the hand pass to Lambert. Kicks inside 50. Here's Lynch. Can't take the mark. Young just got a fingertip to it. Sard socks it towards Cottrell, but Pickett gathers. Hand pass missed Rioli Jr. Here he is though. Morris snaps on goal just over the top of the right goalpost. And the umpire says the wrong side are behind. Tigers lead by 15. 21 minutes, now 22 minutes gone, final turn.
And after all that, the Tigers still winning this final quarter by a point. They lead the game by 15. 3 goals each in a pulsating final term. Long kick out to half-back. Comes to Ralph Smith. Tumbles a kick down to centre-half forward for Richmond. Here's Graham. Spun around in traffic. Hand pass missed the target. Cottrell at half-back for the Blues. Gives it to Krebs. Hand pass out in front of Fisher. Too far out in front. And the wet, breezy footy skids off the surface and over the boundary line. A throw-in on the wing.
But the problem is, he looked up, Cripper, and there's 2 Richmond players just sitting sort of 40 metres away from where Cripps was. So he held it and waited for the handball. Right option in the end.
Crowd posted at 50,741. A great turnout for a wet night in Melbourne. Cochin kicks towards half forward. Saar didn't clear it with his soccer off the ground. Short runs onto it. Spirals a kick inside the 50. And Plowman's well set. Takes the mark in front of Edwards. Short to Doherty. How brave can he be with his foot skills? Kicks out in front of Newman. Didn't have to break stride. Kicks towards Owies at half forward. Baker got a touch onto it. Gathered by Pickett. Springboards from half back. Gets it to Lambert. Breaks the tackle of Hewitt. Kicks towards Lynch at half forward. Doherty sets himself in front. Cruising onto it. Graham trying to break the Walsh hand pass. Hand pass to Edwards. Fires it out to Short. Right half forward. Lynch is back inside the 50. Long to him and Plowman. O'Brien tried to get back there. Didn't get a hand onto it. Lynch up against the left behind post and it goes out of play. A boundary throw in with the Tigers. Deep in attack at the city end. It's Richmond by 15 points.
50,741 the official attendance. On a cold winter's night in Melbourne with plenty of rain for the boundary throw-in. Nankervis wins it down. Cripps hand pass stolen. Prestia hooking goalward. He misses. Those 2 involved in that incident right on the 3/4 time siren, which sparked the melee. Gee, Prestia would have loved to put it on ice there. Tigers by 16, 24 travelled final turn.
Sard plays on, takes a bounce, got around Rioli, then slipped over, turned it over. Short kicks it back towards Morris Rioli, trying to get onto it, corralled by Doherty, fends off the sub, did well, got it to Graham, he's going to kick it back to Edwards. He marks inside 50. That's great composure from the Tigers, but Adam Sard trying to take the game on, got himself into a bind.
Just slipped over. He's got the long stops on.
The coaches used to love that one. Who's got the screw-ins?
Show me your boots.
So Edwards, having kicked the last goal of the match, can he deliver the hammer blow here? He will take his best from just outside 50. Starts his approach. Good strike. Gets right on line with the right goalpost and fades to the right-hand side. A minor score. 17 points is the Richmond lead. Mitch Cleary on the boundary.
Just clarification after all of that, Jack Martin officially subbed out. Durden's still in the game, but he's not moving off the bench with that left knee.
Thanks, Mitch. 17 points, Richmond's lead. They win possession back in the centre square. Pickett kicks down to half forward. Bouncing kick only as far as Doherty. Short ball to Cripps. Put him under the pump. Got a hand pass away back to Sard. Trying to lace one through to DeConey. Has to scrap for it on his knees. Hand pass is picked off. Marlon comes charging through. He knocks it away to Baker, who's tackled and will have a ball up. Outside edge of the centre square. So both Durden and Martin hurt on the Carlton bench. We've got Durden lit up in red. And Mitch reporting that the sub has been made and Jack Martin is the man out regardless. The sub in Lockie Fogarty is out there for the Blues. As Newman kicks out to high half forward. Always has it for Carlton. His team down by 17. Kicks inside 50. Harry, who has threatened to tear this game apart in the final term, takes a contested mark in front of Tarrant. And Harry Mackay can go back to try and kick his fourth in this final term.
He's been enormous, hasn't he, in this last quarter. He's done everything, and he's not usually known for his big contested marks, and that was a huge one.
A monstrous final quarter for Harry Mackay, but it ends at 3 for now. He's got 4 for the night. Richmond lead it by 16 points, and the Sandys running out in the hourglass for the Blues.
Vlauston looks at options inside the defensive 50. He plays on and takes a bounce, spots Baker free, works it over the top to him. Still inside the defensive 50. Risky kick over the top to Rioli's up to the challenge. Not sure it was 15, it didn't matter. He took the mark in front of Cottrell. Right half back for the Tigers. Dan Rioli kicked a goal in the third term. Wants to work it around the boundary line to Baker. This is good controlled footy from the Tigers, forcing Carlton to man up. Taking valuable seconds off the clock. Baker now forced to drive it long. Nankervis sets himself to Koning, and Young get a hand onto it. Spoiled down to Prestia. Hand pass away to Edwards. Through traffic to Graham. Gets to right half forward. Squeezes the kick inside 50. It's wide of Revolt, who lays the tackle on O'Brien. Footy stuck underneath him. The umpire will board up. In the right forward pocket for the Tigers. They lead by 16 points.
Highly entertaining final term. 3 goals each. De Koning hooks it down out of the ruck for Krebs. Gives it to Hewitt, away to Doherty. Kick smothered. Ricochets out to Jaden Short. 60 from home. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Summit takes a one-hander. Running back in the wet. Plucks it. Hand pass to O'Brien. Long kick from the back pocket up to the wing. Plowman goes down with McIntosh. Says play on. Broad runs onto the footy. Short kick to Liam Baker. Southern wing. Tigers by 16 points, 28 travelled in the final term.
Tigers looked at options across half forward. Baker's kick to McIntosh, who's just inside the boundary line. Has it at left half forward. Just about everyone inside the attacking 50 for the Tigers. Kicks towards Revolt. Young there in front, couldn't take the mark. Spills out to Newman. Hand pass away to Cottrell. Rioli offers that. Morris Rioli offers chase. Cottrell off the instep, looking for Cripps. Never got it to him. And the intercepting mark is taken by Short. Just been a bit too cute at stages, the Blues tonight. Short out wide. Morris Rioli Jr. marks. Spots up Revolt. He marks on his chest. And Jack has the chance to close out the night in the right forward pocket.
Just ever since that overrule,
the 2-goal swing.
Well, and just all the momentum's been Richmond's way. 20 inside 50s to 9 now in this quarter, so they've just locked it in from a territory point of view in the forward half of their ground. Haven't allowed Carlton the opportunities since that moment.
2 goals straight tonight for Jack Revolt. Out to the right, he kicks from 45, comes in, fires it across the face of goal. It won't score. And it's marked by Koning, who's away for the Blues.
Koning plays on and then kicks inside the centre square, trying to take the shortest path home. And there is Jaden Short to take the mark just in front of the centre circles for Richmond. Short's just going to pump it straight back down the pipe. Revolt down there in the pack. To Koning flying in from the side, can't hang on to it. Falls to Cottrell, who's buried in the tackle from Rioli Jr. And a ball up, 20 out from the Richmond goal. Tigers by 16 points. Late in the piece, Nankervis grabs it out of the ruck. His kick smothered by Hewitt, and the footy comes back to him. Got a hand pass from Plowman. Hewitt kicks down the wing, and Kerner takes a good mark in front of Grimes. He turns and hits the runner in O'Brien, who marks forward of halfway, looks inside the attacking 50. Mackay in the pack. Vlauston punches it away. There's a free, and it's going to come to Harry Mackay. Going over his shoulder was Vlauston. Harry's just going to play on and snap from dead in front. They're claiming it was touched on the way through. Vlosten came up on the mark to get a hand on it. The call is touched, and they're going upstairs to the video to confirm that. The margin currently 16 points.
Yeah.
The call on field was touched. And we think the video supports that. Certainly doesn't rule it out. And it will be a behind. So Tigers by 15 points. 31 minutes travelled in the final term. What a final quarter he's had, Harry.
The Tigers bring it back into play. As Broad sends it long. Up towards Nankervis, who takes the mark to Koning, trying to fly from behind. Can't come down with it. And Big Nank has the footy in his hands. In no urgency to move it. Veers out to the left. Drives a long kick towards Shea Bolton. Up in front, can't take the mark. Young punches it down. And Bolton rather gingerly runs across the boundary line. Seems okay to continue.
It's been a tough night for Carlton, hasn't it? They lose the game, obviously, but also losing two more soldiers in Sam Durden and Jack Martin.
Thrown back in to Koning and Nankervis. Nankervis taps it down. Prestia can't take it. Cochin and Durden. Oh, Baker threw a boot at it. Had to be careful. Cripps with a hand pass forward to Lambert. Hand pass wide towards Baker. He squeezes the kick towards half forward. It's gathered by Boyd. The siren's going to sound. A famous win for the Tigers. They hold off the Carlton onslaught. Winners by 15 points, and the Richmond rise is on. They're back in the 8. They've won 6 of their last 7.
In any weather you will see us with a grin, risking head and shin. If we're behind it, never mind, we'll fight and win, for we're from Tigerland. We never weaken till the final siren's gone. Like the tiger of old, we're strong and we're bold, for we're from Tigerland. Yellow and black, we're from Tigerland.
The Tigers led by 16 points at quarter time, by 25 at half time, and then Carlton came rocketing back. They got within 14 points at three-quarter time, and then the final term was a seesaw. In the end, Carlton had the 2-goal swing as Jack Newnes' shot on goal was touched off the boot. The Tigers took it down the other end, and Edwards was able to put through the goal. Richmond winners by 15 points in front of 50,741 fans. 11-15-81 to the Blues. 9-12-66.
Tigerland, a fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with a grin, risking head and shin. If we're behind then never mind, we'll fight and win, for we're from Tigerland. We never weaken till the final siren's gone. Like the tiger of old, we're strong and we're bold, for we're from Tiger. Yellow and black, we're from Tigerland.
Richmond winners by 15 points to move to 8 and 5. And with a big blockbuster clash coming up against the Cats next week, they take the spot of Collingwood inside the top 8. With 3 goals, 5 to the Blues, 3-4 in the final term, in which Harry Mackay booted 3 in that final term. For the winners, Tom Lynch finished with 3, 2 to Bolton and to Revolt. The individuals to Edwards, Rioli, that's Dan Rioli, Bolter and Pickett. Meanwhile, for the Blues, Mackay with 4, including 3 in that final term. Individuals to O'Brien, Durden, Martin, that's Jack Martin, Hewitt and Charlie Kerner. The Tigers winners by 15 points. They outlast the Blues in Thursday night footy. Adam Ramanauskas and Mark Murphy.
Yeah, well, they definitely outlasted them in the end. You know, it would have been 3 points at the 18-minute mark of the final quarter if that Jack Newnes goal was allowed. Now the right outcome was had there where it was touched, but Carlton had all the momentum. Would have been 4 goals in 6 minutes, and they were just steamrolling. From that moment on, Richmond went up the other end and just kicked the goal.
Yeah.
So who kicked that goal? Was it Edwards?
Edwards,
who kicked that last goal with Maurice Rioli assist. But then the ball lived in Richmond's forward half that for the remainder of that quarter.
You could just see the life out of
Yeah.
the Carlton players almost just get sucked out of them once they'd all set up for another centre square bounce, thinking they're 3 points down, and then within the sake of 45 seconds, all of a sudden you're 2.5 goals down. So you could just almost just sense it from that point on that it was going to be hard work, and Richmond, to their credit, just found an extra gear. And as you said, Ramo just had it inside 50 for majority of that last sort of 5 or 6 minutes, didn't they? And it
Didn't give Carlton a chance.
Didn't give him a little sniff at all whatsoever. So it was a really professional win, wasn't it, from Richmond? So they've come tonight and got the job done and continued on their merry way over the last sort of month and a half.
Couple of key stats, inside 50s for the game, 76-51 in Richmond's favour. Clearances, Richmond are renowned to lose week in, week out. They end up winning 40-29. And then the territory sort of game that Murph and I spoke about, it rained for the majority of the night. So Richmond were plus 510 metres gained in that contest. Jaden Short had an enormous game, 989 metres gained, 24 kicks, 1 handball. So for 25 disposals, he had 16 inside 50s. Just had a monster. I thought at real critical moments within the game, the Tigers were just cleaner. The ball didn't bobble a lot for them, or they would kick it off the ground and gain that territory.
Especially the first half, wasn't it? It was just almost, Carlton was sort of overusing it, but I think that was due in part to the fact they weren't actually getting the ball clean to start off with, and then almost their handballs were sort of just missing the mark a little bit, whereas Richmond, as you said, they invested time over the ball, clean, got the ball forward, got yardage, didn't mess around with it, and they just looked better, didn't they, from that point on?
Sam Doherty had a huge game. Well, he's had an amazing season. He had 31 possessions tonight. He had 748 metres gained in conditions like this. Harry Mackay looked like he was going to tear the game apart in that last quarter. He kicked 3 in that last quarter and had another 2 more opportunities. So you look at Richmond's team. You look at Carlton's team today. Richmond had more winners.
Yep.
They had more winners across the ground. They win the game by 15 points. Presti was good. Baker was good. Loston was good. Kane Lambert found some form. So, those guys in the critical moments. Morris Rowley Jr. comes on and does some nice things for him. 4 possessions, tackle, 3 score involvements in that little period of time. So it was workmanlike, no doubt, for the Tigers, but in conditions like they were tonight, where the rain was fairly constant, you have to be workmanlike. You have to do the fundamentals really, really well, and the Tigers were able to continue to execute.
So, the talking point's going to be the swing. So the right call was made with the Jack Nunes decision, which was touched as it went through. The ball had gone back to the middle. So, the momentum was lost just a little bit, because at that stage, Carlton had harnessed it, and for the first time of the night, they actually looked like they were the better side. Now, that was, for a 15-minute period in the match, is probably the best they looked.
Well, it was, and they left almost too much to do, really, and they played out of their skins, especially Harry Mackay in that last quarter. He was huge, but they left it a little bit too late. But having said that, that doesn't get touched, and all of a sudden you win 3 points, and there's 6.5 minutes still on the clock. So it's a different game after that point. So it's just one that got away. And as I said, in the last 20 seconds of that game, you lose Jack Martin and Sam Durden again. Let's hopefully, for their sakes, it's not too bad, their injuries, but they're tall stocks at the moment. Carlton, they're just there's almost no one left really at the moment, unfortunately, and they can't get Jacob Waring back quick enough, and hopefully he's not too far off. But it's going to be a really important 2 or 3 weeks for them, isn't it, Carlton? Because they're right back amongst the pack, aren't they?
Those games they got the next few weeks. The other interesting subplot out of tonight is whatever was happening on the bench, and we'll get an update from Mitch. But if they lose Sam Durden again, which we, I hate to say it, we touched on it pre-game. That's so cruel to keep losing the same player. Liam Jones pre-season, Wiedering, Oscar McDonald, Marchbank comes back, gets hurt. Sam Durden comes in, gets hurt, and then Martin. They've already got an injury list as long as your arm. So. And a big couple of weeks ahead, as you said, for the Blues with Fremantle, St Kilda and Geelong, 3 of their next 4. So they've got West Coast jammed in between there.
And depending on what happens with the other sides inside the top 8, the Tigers could find themselves down to 7th, depending on results over the weekend. Let's join Richmond, winners by 15 points, with Mitch Cleary.
It's a joyous Richmond rooms. They're back in the 8. They take Collingwood's spot in the top 8 tonight. There's a couple of LA Rams players down here. The Lombardi Trophy was doing a tour of the ground earlier in the night. So the Rams just enjoying some success for the Tigers. They're going to huddle up and sing this song. Richmond Tigers back in the 8 for tonight.
Richmond winners by 15 points to kickstart round 14 of the AFL. 11-15-81 to the Blues, 9-12-66. And we'll bring you a Richmond interview very shortly. So how do we judge the Tigers? 6 of their last 7. They're building momentum. They looked a bit more like the Tigers of old in wet and greasy conditions, which seemed to suit their game style.
Yeah, they did. We spoke about this last week. Just the move and the change of Baker and Short up around the football. Baker started on Corey Durden for the first half. Then in the second half, he comes up around the football and he's able. He's just everywhere. He's just got energy. And I think when you've got energy around the ball and you're able to go from contest to contest, whether it's laying a tackle, whether it's grabbing a ground ball, whatever that may be, accounts for a lot in the second half, particularly through the middle of the season, because you're looking for energy. And I think those two players particularly are providing that for the Tigers. That's the change in their system where Baker and Short are more up around the ball because Vlosten's back. Dan Rioli's playing across half back, so they're sort of covered in that area where they can use those guys. Nathan Broad also had another really strong game, 20 plus possessions again. So the one again I thought was really good tonight for the Tigers is Kane Lambert. I know he's hampered in some capacity, but just having his calmness, that half forward role that he plays is critical.
Let's head back down to the Richmond rooms. Here's Mitch Cleary.
Thanks, guys. We've got Toby Nankervis here, the co-captain of the Richmond Footy Club. Toby, it felt like a Richmond night. Greasy conditions, you were able to surge the ball forward and get the win. How important do you think this is for your footy club?
Yeah, no, it was a great win. We feel like we've been in pretty good form and I probably dropped that game against Sydney, which is disappointing, but we feel like we're really building something. And disappointing round 1 against Carlton. There's a lot of areas we were really disappointed from that game, but took some learnings and it was good to make an improvement tonight.
Just in terms of that scuffle at three-quarter time, we saw you were out there. You're in the middle of it before you walked off as the skipper. Take us through what was going on out there.
No, I think it was just a really competitive game. There's no malice in it, I don't think. It was just a really competitive game of footy. Played in great spirits, I think, so there wasn't too much in that. Not for me, anyway.
I'll throw upstairs to Matt Clinch, Corbin Middlemass, Adam Ramanauskas and Mark Murphy.
Toby, firstly, congratulations on the win. I'm just interested in those learnings that you took from round 1. It was the first time that Carlton had beaten you for a while. What were those learnings that you took into tonight?
Yeah, as a midfield group, I think we're beaten up around the footy. They're Cripps, Hewitt, Chera, who didn't play tonight, but Kennedy, Walsh, they're really good ball winners inside, but they're also contest-to-contest runners. So I think they showed us up in that area and something that we really pride ourselves on. So we need to get better after round 1. There's no doubt about that.
Well, clearances tonight were 41-28 in your guys' favour. But as Mitch asked you before, just the conditions. You don't play a lot of wet weather football anymore, but it seemed to suit what you needed tonight.
Yeah, I think as a footy club, I think we back ourselves. We're really quick, really good running side, and when we get that surge brand of footy, it's pretty hard to stop. But yeah, we feel like our footy stacks up in any conditions, and as you said, probably suited us a little bit tonight.
Toby, well done, Murphy. Just the inclusions of I know Baker was playing a little bit more off half back today, but Short coming up through the midfield, just injecting a bit more leg speed throughout the midfield. How have you seen those two guys this season?
Yeah, it's one of our I suppose strengths as a footy club, Murph, to have blokes that can play. They're so versatile, can play different roles, and throughout the game, I think Dimmer's got great confidence in so many players that flick the magnets around, and as you said, if we need more leg speed, there's so many guys that can go through there.
And Toby, just the last month or so, I mean, it felt like it was sort of building nicely in that last term. What was your view of the Jack Newnes snap, and were you confident that Nathan Broad was right and he got a hand onto it?
I was getting a bit worried there. Broady said straight away he touched it, so I was a bit worried when I got to the centre bounce, so he's about to throw it up though. But yeah, it was nice to get a quick return after that one. It would have been interesting if that went through.
Did you feel like Carlton had the momentum at that stage? It felt like it was a big swing, and obviously you were able to capitalise on it with Shane Edwards going at the other end.
Yeah, I suppose we feel like we had control of the game there, just couldn't score, and it normally happens. They get an opportunity and they take it. So, yeah, it's a fierce contest, and you can't afford to have little lapses in quarters, and we'll address that, no doubt.
Toby, just on a personal note, you're captain of the football club now. What have you learnt about yourself, particularly through the first half of this season? Have you had to change the way you've gone about your game? Have you had to talk to different people that you probably wouldn't usually talk to? Tell us a little bit about Toby Nankervis, the captain.
Yeah, not too much has changed, to be honest. It's a few weeks to get used to it, and so obviously the pre-game sort of stuff and the stuff throughout the week with meetings and whatnot. But I haven't changed the way I've acted around the footy club or on field. I think that's probably unfair to ask me to do that, and it's unfair that my teammates and the staff have given me the role. So it's great to have Grindy alongside me. We're learning every single day and each week. So yeah, not too much has changed, to be honest.
Toby, so with the pre-game spiel, how do you feel you're going about it at the moment? Because it was always something that I sort of, early on in my career, when I was having to dish out the little spiel before the game, I'd think about it for half an hour leading into it. And on the back end, I would almost walk to the huddle and actually just make up something on the spot. So how do you go about it?
Yeah, I was okay early. First few games Murph, now I've run out of stuff to say, so just keep sort of recycling stuff. But I'm not the biggest talker as it is, so I sort of just keep it pretty short and sharp. And the boys, I think, have a bit of a laugh and I fumble a few words around.
Toby Nankervis with us on Grandstand AFL. Toby, congratulations on the win. Shea Bolton kicked a pretty big goal in the context of the game, and when he ran into the open goal, he just showed Sam Docherty the footy on his way in. What did you think of that?
Yeah, he's a great player, and he plays with a lot of flair, but I was a bit worried. There's still 15 odd minutes to go, so I wouldn't be doing that, and I think, I don't think Shea would have done that if he had his time again. Will you have a word to him about it? I think maybe early in the week, next week. We want to be a really humble footy club that plays footy in the right way. And, I love the way Shea plays the game, and maybe that overstepped the mark a little bit.
Good on you, Toby. It sets up a massive game against the Cats next week. The big games just continue to roll on.
Cheers. Thanks for that.
Toby Nankervis joining us from the Richmond Rooms. 15-point winners over Carlton, 11-15. 81 to the Blues, 9-12-66. If you guys were senior players and one of your teammates, I mean, Shea Bolton has the skills, so some will say it's good to showcase that, but did you think it was in the right spirit?
It's good to showcase your skills. Like, I love watching Shea Bolton. He's one of my favourite players to watch in the AFL, but exactly what Toby said then. You want to be a humble team, and I thought that went across the line from my point of view. So I would have had a chat to one of my teammates if he did that, and I'm pretty sure Toby would do the same thing. But you don't want to see that sort of arrogance come out in the field, and he's too good of a player to do that anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't need to do that. No. I just think he's good enough, and he's got enough natural flair that should be enough. So, quiet word, just a quiet word, and say, mate, we're not about that. We're not about that. That's all it needs.
The Blues, and I just want to talk about actually Liam Baker before we move on, because I mean he is having a great second half of the season, and alongside Dion Prestia, who wasn't pretty tonight, but he was just the guy. Whenever you looked, he was on the bottom of the pack, laying tackles, getting clearances, which was a bit. I mean, that hasn't really been a trademark of Richmond's game, except for tonight. That you kind of knew that was the strength of Carlton's, and in the end, the clearances comfortably the way of the Tigers, 60-49.
If you look back to round one, like, he was a huge loss. I think he had 10 disposals in the first quarter, Dion Prestia, and was just. And over the past few years, he's always got Carlton. So I think he was a huge loss in that first game, and then today he was easily best on for mine. Just to be able to win 13 clearances when the game was just demanding on players winning the hard ball, and he was a bloke who really got them going, and throughout the entire night just didn't let up and kept on getting the ball forward, and in these conditions that's what you need to do.
13 clearances, 19 contested possessions, 6 set of bounce clearances. So he was enormous tonight, Dion Prestia. But again, he doesn't fumble. And I know he's a low to the ground player, but tonight there was a lot of players fumbling, but he just seemed to be just a dry weather game to him.
I mentioned this during the call. They're a 13% better team when he plays than when he doesn't. So since he joined Richmond, the team overall has a 68% winning record. It goes up to 72% when he plays and falls all the way down to 59% when he doesn't. So we love barometers and things like that in footy. That's it feels like a needle mover.
And some people, when I hear them commentate on football and they talk about when it's wet conditions, it brings everyone to a level playing field. I think the best players actually are more noticeable in the tougher conditions, because the average footballers, they fumble, they second grab at it, whereas the really classy footballers who are worth their weight in gold, and Dion Prestia is one of those who tonight was just so clean with the football. And if he was a fumbler, he would have had 6 clearances, but he had 13 because he was hard over the ball, and he's a one-touch player.
It's interesting, Toby Nankervis' comments about their learnings from round one, and he's exactly right. We were here doing this game, and they really did get beaten up around the ball that night. It was a beautiful night for football, but Carlton destroyed him through the middle of the ground. And tonight, as much as Cripps had 34, Walsh had 34, Hewitt had 24, Matty Kennedy had what did he have, 21.
It just didn't feel like they hurt him, did it?
No, it felt like Prestia, Baker, Short, Lambert. Even I thought Marlon Pickett had a really good game tonight. He played out on his wing and just did some really nice things. So good performance, but it's a missed opportunity for the Blues. They could have went equal top, and it was there at the 18-minute mark of that last quarter. It would have been a photo finish. Then they just let it slip. It's interesting momentum in football and how it plays and how it works and the like. That goal's allowed. Well, Carlton's tails are up. It's disallowed. The ball goes down the other end in 30 seconds and Edwards kicks a goal. So that's a maturity part, I think, on Carlton's behalf, and it'll come. But what are they now? What's that? 9-5, 9-4, 8-4,
9-4,
9-4. So
with Freo, St Kilda in the next 2 weeks. So it didn't take long. Jeff in Sunshine's wondering, is Carlton the most likely side to drop out of the 8 and miss the finals? Have been average for the last few weeks.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one because I think they've certainly gone past the tipping point of injuries, and you can't cover too many when there's so many out at the moment. So this little period where Jacob Wiedering is hopefully not out for too long was always going to leave a huge hole because he's been there for so long and been an integral part of that back line. It was in all-Australian form. So you take him out and all of a sudden you've got Lewis Young, who's obviously new to the football club, and now you've got Sam Durden, who's had to come in through the mid-season draft, and he looks injured as well at the moment. You talk about Caleb Marchbank last week from coming back and being such a great story to being out as well, and obviously Liam Jones and missing the start of the season, basically retiring, having to retire because of not getting vaccinated. It's just been unbelievable to see the decimation in that tall back department for Carlton, and it's just so hard to cover.
You add Mitch McGovern into that, you add Mark Pittner into that, David Cunningham's the knee, so he's a long time. Luke Parks is another one that's played senior football and is out.
And Jack Martin's been in and out the whole time, and again comes back today and came back last week, but then gets injured tonight. So they're losing a lot of men, aren't they?
So you look at from round one, they were missing Chera, Williams, McGovern, Wiedering, Pittnet and McDonald were the sort of 6 that were in the team from round one. I mean, you only need to look at the Bulldogs where you question whether a midfield can cover other gaps across the field, and it's probably getting harder and harder in a modern game to be able to do that. But it felt like Carlton really needed their midfield to sort of be able to lead the charge tonight, and Richmond were up to the challenge in that area.
Well, they've been so good at kicking goals, the Carlton midfield, all year, and Patrick Cripps didn't kick a goal, Sam Walsh didn't kick a goal, Hewitt kicked one, O'Brien kicked one, Matthew Kennedy didn't kick one, so they're really heavily reliant on their midfielders kicking goals, and it just wasn't quite enough tonight.
There's a critical mass in every team of injuries, so how long Carlton can hang in there now before they get a couple of those guys back becomes really important now. Those games you talk about, you got West Coast in there, so if they can somehow go 2-2 in the next 4 weeks, I think they've done a pretty good job.
I think if they walk away with 2-2, they'd be probably pretty happy. I think when you look at their run of Fremantle, St Kilda, obviously West Coast, you'd take that as a win, and Geelong. So you've got to win one of those other three, which the sides are all vying for that top four.
Yep. Then they've got Gold Coast, Adelaide, Brisbane, Melbourne, Collingwood to close. So
tough run. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If they do make the finals, they'll be in some sort of form.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mitch Cleary is going to give us a wrap shortly of what was a terrible night on the injury front for both sides, with Sam Durden not finishing his debut for the Blues with a knee injury, and Jack Martin on the bench unable to come back on. Noah Bolter. As to what impact that'll have for the Tigers with their second ruck options. Fascinating game for Carlton's two big key tools, though, because Harry Mackay loomed as the player who looked like he was going to win it in the last term. How do they try and maximise he and Charlie Kerner? Because I think in that last quarter, Harry kicked 3 goals, had 6 score involvements, and yet for the first 3 quarters, we didn't see all that much of him.
He couldn't catch a cold in the first 3 quarters. But that's what we spoke about at 3-quarter time, Murph and I. Might not be your night, but can be your moment. And he took his moments in that last quarter and looked like the Coleman medalist that we all know he is. I think Murph made a great point to start this game. Simply, Mackay and Kerner haven't played a lot of footy together. So they're still finding that synergy of how each other plays and what's going to be best for each. And I think when they find that, they'll be the most dominant combination in AFL.
Yeah,
as a forward pair.
And I've watched a lot of them this year, and they still do get in each other's way, and they spoil each other and bring their opponent into the contest. Whereas I think if 2 or 3 years' time, those two guys, if they're able to play a lot of football and string games together, they'll be a scary prospect, and they already are a scary prospect at the moment. But Harry's he's almost too big. Like he was absolutely nowhere tonight, and still could have kicked 4 in the last. He had 1 touch, so he could have walked away with 5. And at 3-quarter time, you would have said he had a really dirty night.
Yep.
So he's got that capability, and Charlie's on the same sort of level in terms of the type of guys who can just bob up and just win the game off their own boot. And Harry almost did that tonight.
If the game was played at Docklands, would it potentially have been a different result?
Well, yeah, it's a hypothetical we all have no idea about, but because
I'm all meaning, like you touched on in the first half, with the Blues over-possessing the footy and in the conditions, they didn't quite adapt. Whereas you think under the roof, you just imagine Harry and Charlie having more of an impact on the game than what they did today.
But Carlton and Richmond is never going to be played at the Docklands.
No, it's not, and that's probably not giving the Richmond defence enough credit, because they took the extra in defence, and for all of the night that was Nathan Broad, and Carlton took the extra at the stoppage.
Yeah, if it was a dry night, who knows? But it wasn't, and they were cleaner and harder at the football for most of the night. Richmond, they deserved the win. So you walk out of here thinking that, well, they almost got away with one Carlton if they almost got there. But I thought Richmond was easily the better team on the night.
So we need to get some votes for the ABC Footballer of the Year, and then we'll get Mark Murphy and Adam Ramanassis' thoughts on some of the other games still to come for the weekend. Have we?
I've got the votes tonight. Or you?
Yeah, maybe just hold fire. We'll just get a final injury update. I think Mitch Cleary is still available in the Richmond rooms. Mitch, what's the feeling like down there?
There's a few Richmond people in these rooms. I actually couldn't get into the Carlton rooms. There's more people in there. There was a big celebration or milestone commemoration for Patrick Cripps' 150th, so you couldn't actually get a spot in the Carlton room. So I've come back to the Richmond rooms. Nick Scott, the LA Rams star, is taking photos with the players. That's what's happening over here at Richmond. Noah Bolter is dealing with a right hamstring injury. Over in the Carlton rooms, they've confirmed that Jack Martin was the player subbed out after all of that kerfuffle down there. He felt a calf injury, so he was subbed out at the exact same time that Sam Durden limped off for a second time with that left knee. So they'll both go for scans in the next 48 hours. In particular, the Sam Durden one, they'll be sweating on that, given Jacob Wiedering, Mitch McGovern, Oscar McDonald and Mitch McGovern are all out injured right at this point. So they've got a dearth of key backs. The positive news from the Carlton camp is that Jacob Wiedering did have a pretty big running session today at the club. So he was there with the physios. The initial diagnosis for him was 6 or 7 weeks. If he can get back inside 2 or 3 weeks, he would be ahead of schedule. So that could be a glimmer of hope to come out of the day for the Blues. Jacob Wiedering potentially ahead of schedule with his shoulder injury.
And for the Tigers, what was the thought on Noah Bolter?
Yeah, just another hamstring injury for him. So when he came off the ground, he wasn't able to put any pressure on his right leg. The initial thought sitting from the boundary was that it might have been an ankle, but that looked like a bit of a nasty one for Noah Bolter. There wasn't any consideration to try and get him going again. He was subbed straight out immediately. So with the big explosive figure and player like he is, these hamstring injuries are starting to mount up for Noah Bolter.
All right, thanks, Mitch. Good job. Go get yourself a photo.
Thanks, guys.
It's almost like Damian Lillard when he was in town a couple of weeks ago. He popped into the 2 change rooms. The vote, Smurf, for the ABC Footballer of the Year.
Yep, so we've got the one vote tonight. We'll go to Jaden Short. So he had 16 inside 50s, 989 metres gained, had 25 disposals. I thought he was terrific tonight. Sam Doherty for Carlton. I thought he was easily Carlton's best. 748 metres gained. I think he had 31 disposals.
31.
Yep. 31 disposals and 9 intercept possessions. I thought he was fantastic. He was just so composed with the football. Had some big contests down back and really helped out his key defenders down there. But Dion Presti, I thought, was easily the best on ground tonight. We spoke about him earlier being so clean over the football and having 13 clearances in these conditions. Just be able to get yardage and get the ball forward for his side was just fantastic all night. And 33 disposals as well. He was easily my best on ground.
3 to Prestia, 2 to Doherty, and 1 to Jaden Short from Mark Murphy in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Richmond recording a 15-point victory, 11-15-81 to the Blues, 9-12-66. Do you have any interest, Corby, in the Glenn Bartlett statement, or?
Yeah, we can bring you some of it. So essentially this statement's been put out a short time ago. Glenn said, in part, I believe dinner led with trust, respect and unity right to the end, in my view, and I said this many times, it is imperative that our people who leave the club are always treated with dignity and respect. In my view, the culture of an organisation is defined by the way people leave the organisation, whether that be any player or staff member, any coach, the club doctor or president. I know I was not perfect, however, through my time at the club, I treated the welfare of all our people as paramount and was steadfast in my responsibility to be able to look every person in the eye and confirm that I was doing everything possible to have a club free of workplace bullying, gambling, harassment and illegal drugs. I was truly committed to having the best environment 24/7 for all our people, and I treated everyone with respect. Individual and team performance is a different thing, and I should never be impeded by managing behaviour or used as a reason to gloss over, in inverted commas, the necessary management of behaviour/conduct. It is also a fact that the clubs who have developed the strongest cultures by embedding the right behaviours have enjoyed sustainable success by playing in the most finals campaigns over the last 20 years. Finally, football has always been an important part of my life, and maintaining the integrity of the sport is my highest priority. So that, in part, is the Glenn Bartlett statement released tonight, the former president of the Melbourne Football Club. It feels like a story, Rammer, that won't go away for the Melbourne Football Club.
I don't know why Glenn has to continue to make statements.
Well, he clearly feels burnt by the way that everything ended.
Yeah, I understand that, but sometimes you've also just got to move on as well, you know.
Yep. The other thing is, it feels like whatever's happened at the club,
yeah,
like nothing cleanses like the champagne bath. That when
Correct.
you get the champagne after the premiership, it feels like it validates everything that happened at this footy club. And I think that's the part that's probably hardest for Glenn to deal with, that they went on, they had the ultimate success.
And it wasn't him as president.
Yeah, and there was a heap of praise heaped on the people that were in those spots at the time, whether that was the CEO, the current president, the coach.
But he was there also at the time when they were developing, coming up. He was there when they made the prelim final. So I understand that, but I just... And I'm not just talking about Melbourne here, but clubs having to air their dirty laundry in these manners. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for anybody.
And the theory is
keep it behind closed doors.
Presidents are some of the most passionate supporters going around, and yet it's creating an unhealthy distraction for Melbourne at a time where they've got enough problems at the moment. So I'm sure he feels harshly done by, but you just don't feel like it's helping Melbourne's cause at all at the moment.
I have no doubt that that's... Well, actually, I don't know that, but I suspect that might be part of the motivation. That essentially there is a lot of stench around the Melbourne Football Club at the moment, and you see, multiple conversations that he was a part of that have bobbed up in the press in recent times. That it feels like there's a lot still coming out of that incident, which I think for most footy fans and for Melbourne fans, as we touched on, is a long way in the rearview mirror.
So Richmond winners by 15 points at the MCG over Carlton, 11-15-81 to the Blues, 9-12-66. The Tigers jump inside the 8. They've got Geelong next week And Carlton, it doesn't get any easier. They back up against the Fremantle Dockers next week. No shortage of AFL action, of course, tomorrow night. Back again, the Saints taking on the Bombers. So can the Bombers offer some sort of response, or will the Saints continue to march on? In the cricket, rain stopped play after 47 overs. Sri Lanka 9 for 222 in their innings. And in the Rugby League tonight, a win for St George Illawarra over South Sydney, 32 points to 12. So we'll be back tomorrow. Stay with ABC Sport, of course, for all the latest, but here's a little of how the Tigers recorded a 15-point victory over the Blues. Enjoy your night. Always a chance. Can't gather. Bolton. Hand pass to Rioli. Gets it to Pickett for the opening goal. Marlon Pickett on his left. He snaps truly from 40 metres out. Pickett wastes no time. Hand pass to short, long towards Lynch. He's got 3 to compete against. Gets to the back. Doherty taps into the goal man. Shea Bolton from a couple of metres out. Volleys it through.
Here's Cochin. Kicks to half forward. Shea Bolton up. Can't complete the juggle mark. He's going to get it anyway. Advantage applied. Richmond head inside 50. And on the end of it, Noah Bolter takes the mark. There's a high tackle in all of that. Story of the night so far. Carlton have been missing. Meanwhile, Richmond haven't. Noah Bolter makes it more of the same to start the second term. From the ball up, Edwards, first clean touch, hand pass to short, tumbles a kick to half forward. Lynch just wins the one-on-one, hands down against Louis Young. Tom Lynch on the set shot. He rides it all the way home.
Hand pass to Lambert, kicks inside 50. Lynch had led up to the footy. Young punches it down, straight to Revolt, who snaps on the right, puts it through. They're the runaway train at the moment.
Hand pass to Corey Durden. He's crunched by Broad. Floston wins it half back for Richmond. Hands it to Pickett. Away to Baker. Fumbles and then just soms it forward twice. Got it to Shea Bolton. Draws Doherty. Hand pass to Graham. Open forward 50. Looks for Lynch. Wrong foot's Young. Runs into the open goal. Lynch has 3.
Boyd takes it for the Blues. Back inside 50. Up goes to Koenig. It gets to the back. Jack Martin breaks the Cochin tackle. Into the goal. Puts it into the third tier. Beautiful hand pass as he kicks down low for Lynch, trying to gather. Shea Bolton cruising through. He might run into the open goal mouth. Shows the footy to Doherty and slams it through.
Broad from the kick out, turns it over as Sard comes to meet it, takes an intercept mark 70 out. Hand pass to O'Brien, looks for Mackay. And Harry takes a strong mark. Mackay a non-negotiable. Dobson. Carlton's still alive.
Cripps waits his hand pass to Boyd, who returned the footy, kicks inside 50. The textbook play. Out to Harry Mackay on the lead, who marks hard in the boundary. Harry Mackay goes to banana, kicks it successfully. Fisher slips over, gets the hand pass now to Cottrell, drives the kick inside 50. Tigers have the numbers. Gibcus punches it towards the boundary. Mark keeps it alive. Hand pass to Harry. He's got his 4th. In the last 3 goals of the match. Bolton over the top. Morris Rioli Jr. the sub into the action. Veering out, trying to centre it. He does get it to Edwards. Edwards off a step, puts it through. End-to-end footy from the Tigers. Lambert, hand pass wide towards Baker. He squeezes the kick towards half forward. It's gathered by Boyd. The siren's going to sound. A famous win for the Tigers. They hold off the Carlton onslaught. Winners by 15 points, and the Richmond rises on. They're back in the 8.
For 90 years, the ABC has been a part of our lives.
So, we've got a massive party planned.
Happy birthday, ABC.
Join us for a special 2-hour live television event.
To look back over 90 incredible years.
Digging deep into the ABC archives.
With cast reunions, live performances from some of Australia's biggest acts, and lots more.
Happy birthday, ABC.
ABC 90 Celebrate. Live.
Thursday night, the 30th of June on ABC TV and ABC iView.
ABC Sport Digital Radio, your home of netball. This is an ABC podcast.
Remorseful, embarrassed, and it's something I've got to live with, and I own it. Like, I don't shy away from it, but at the same time, it's hard to own up to that.
That's 21-year-old AFL player Bailey Smith talking to the Herald Sun after being caught posing in a photo with illicit drugs. Today, the AFL handed the midfielder a 2-game ban as his punishment. The story, though, has thrown the AFL's illicit policy back into the spotlight and raised all kinds of questions like, what does the policy actually involve? Does it need an overhaul? Or should it be scrapped entirely? I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily. Drew Jones is the host of AFL Tonight on Fox Footy. We spoke to him on Thursday afternoon. There was a slight audio problem throughout the interview. Apologies for that. Drew, for those catching up on Bailey Smith and might not be completely across who he is and why he's been in the spotlight this week, can you get us up to date?
Stacky, well, he's one of the most recognisable AFL players right now. He's got the blue eyes and the tan.